Speaking out of Akron, Ohio, representing Team Popping the Boys, the headline god, Jeremy Lambert, and his co-host, speaking out of Atlanta, Georgia, representing more than one royal family, the king of indie viewing, Stephen Jensen. And this is the Spotlight on Fightful.
Welcome, everyone, to the Spotlight. I'm Jeremy Lambert. That's Stephen Jensen, and shout out to Big Dick MLJ for the intro. As always, Jensen is on hotel Wi-Fi, coming through, as you would expect, on hotel Wi-Fi with a choppy picture. Hopefully, the audio holds up. That is what's going to matter here. How you doing, buddy?
Darn, dude. I was hoping everything looked all right a second ago, didn't it?
Yeah, it was fine in our pre-show meeting, which consists of us saying hello and then getting started on this show.
Yeah, if I need to, I can try to switch it to I have another Wi-Fi option that might be a little bit better. So just let me know how things are going, y'all. I'll do my best. But yes, I am on location still in Duluth, Georgia, after AEW Dynamite and Collision. So we're definitely going to talk about that on today's show. But that's why I'm in the hotel and why I guess I did my best with the Wi-Fi. So we'll see how that goes. But how you doing, Jeremy?
I'm good. It's coming in and out. It's hotel Wi-Fi. I think anybody who has stayed in a hotel understands that sometimes it works great and other times it's just going to be a pain and not work at all. So we will see. We'll work through it. Vacation Stephen Jensen is certainly here, and that is what matters, that you are here at all. Yeah, otherwise I'm good. It's been a long week, but a fun week. Went to a concert on Tuesday, and yeah, that was my little mini vacation to myself, going to a concert with the wife.
Yeah, you went to Offspring and Sum 41, right?
Yeah, and Simple Plan. I got buried for not mentioning Simple Plan in the on the tweet that they were also there.
Yeah, that's a good concert. That's a solid like early 2000s concert.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, 90s, 2000s. It was a lot of fun. Wife is a big fan of The Offspring, and I like Sum 41. Honestly, Simple Plan was first. It was surprising of how many songs I recognized because I didn't listen to them a lot, and two, like they put on a really good show. So if you get a chance to go see this tour, it's supposed to be the last tour for Sum 41. They're breaking up, even though they have a new album coming out next year. If you get a chance to go see them, if you live that era of music, I recommend it because it was a really fun show.
Nice. Yeah. I was a fan of all those bands back in the day. It makes you feel very old to say that. I went and I saw, I've been doing a lot in my little break here from work, which has been great. Went and did a bachelor party with my friend in the mountains this past weekend. And then this other day I saw Strays, that new movie with Will Ferrell and Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
It was really funny. It's super vulgar. Be aware. Like I probably wouldn't bring like your kids and stuff unless like they're used to seeing but but it was hilarious. It was like a true comedy. You know, that's really what I wanted to see. I just wanted to see something that was going to be funny and just try to be funny for the entire hour and a half. That's what it was. So I'd recommend people who like just funny comedy movies check that movie out.
There you go. I've seen the previews for that, and it does look very funny. You know, we only go to the movies if it is with the kids, and this is certainly not something we would take the kids to, based on the trailer that I have seen. Guys, leave us a thumbs up on the video. Leave us a super chat. Get your question, comment, statement read on the air. This episode today is sponsored by Wrestle Rumble. We've partnered up with them once again. They have their AEW World Heavyweight Title belt raffle that you can sign up, just $1 to sign up for the belt raffle. That's all you got to do. No pick'em contest for All In, but there is the belt raffle for AEW All In. We giving away free entries for this, Jensen?
Oh, so what I'm going to do is, I forgot to mention that before the show to you. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick one winner this week. It's going to be the same thing though, where you just say Wrestle Rumble in the chat. We're going to give one person 10 entries. So you'll get 10 opportunities you'll get your name in there 10 times to potentially win the AEW World Championship belt replica.
There you go. So all you got to do, leave a Wrestle Rumble in the chat. We'll mention this throughout the show, but leave a Wrestle Rumble in the chat. One person will win, and you'll get 10 entries into the belt raffle for the AEW World Heavyweight title belts. And Jensen can always attest to this, but those are the legit, authentic belts, the real deal that will be sent to you. And the shipping comes in a timely manner. There's never been an issue with any of this stuff. Wrestle Rumble have been great partners with us for, gosh, almost a year now. I feel like we've been doing this for a long time with them. So shout out to Matt and everybody over at Wrestle Rumble. We appreciate them.
For sure. Matt actually sent me a picture of the box the belt came in, and the thing is humongous. Like this title belt's badass. So you definitely want to enter. I mean, entries are only $1 a piece. So even if you don't win the free entries on today's show, jump on the website, WrestleRumble.com, just throw in $1. You could potentially win. This belt has to be valued at this thing's got to be like $500 or something, like online. I really don't even know the price, but it has to be at least $500, I would imagine, with like the material that is made and how big it is and everything. So yeah, you can win it for $1. Or like we said, you just put Wrestle Rumble in the chat. We'll mention it throughout the show, but Wrestle Rumble in the chat gets you your name on the list at the end of the show. We're gonna pick one name. Person gets 10 shots. You get 10 entries to win a badass world title replica for the AEW World Championship.
And then you can spray paint an X on it if you would like, if you are a fan of CM Punk or want to be like Ice Cube's son and prove your loyalty to WWE. That is also why he spray painted the X on it. He said, "Have you not seen this?"
No, I haven't seen. I missed that completely. What happened?
You know Ice Cube's son, O'Shea Jackson Jr.?
No, I know who Ice Cube is. Was his son? Was his son like a rapper, like a basketball player, or like
he's an actor.
Player? He's an actor. Okay.
Yeah, he actually played.
I know a lot of like Lil Romeo and stuff. Like some of them like went into like collegiate sports, and I like just completely missed what happened beyond that. So
he actually played Ice Cube in Straight Outta Compton, the movie. He played.
Gotcha.
So if you've seen that movie, you have seen some of his work. So he played his dad in that movie. And yeah, he's a big wrestling fan. He tweets about it all the time. But recently he had his replica AEW title and he spray painted the X through it. And he said, well, he's a big CM Punk fan. He's like, well, it's a tribute to CM Punk. And he's also a big WWE fan because then he showed his replica WWE title as well. And that is untouched for him. So
wow. Hey, what's his name? I'm gonna follow him on X. We're talking about an X and everything. I'm following him on X right now. What was his first name?
O'Shea Jackson Jr. If you just like Google O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Oh, I found him.
Twitter,
yeah.
There you go.
Okay, cool. I just followed him on Twitter. His profile picture is him holding a wing or a that's like the late 90s version of the WWF Championship. Yeah, I like this guy already. Hell yeah. I always like knowing wrestling fans are out there, you know. Even being at AEW this weekend, there was a lot of people. I love the idea of winning replica title belts, but I'm not one of the kind of people who like would bring one to a show. Just not my style. And it's a lot to keep up with, you know. Like I just want to go and like I want to have as little on me as possible. I just want to be like loose, hanging out at the show, but it was funny. I mean, like at the hotel I'm staying in, I was running into replica title belts just left and right. Like it was pretty funny actually. Like I get out of the hotel room and like turn one direction, and like before I even get to the elevator, there's someone holding a replica title belt, and then like I get out of the elevator, walk out of the elevator on like a different floor. There's someone else with a replica title belt. I'm just like, I'm among my people right now. You know what I mean? I can spot all the wrestling fans. So yeah, it's definitely an experience. Oh, and also I'll mention, I tweeted about it last night, but yeah, there was that one guy I was putting ketchup on a hot dog. Yeah, I'm never sure with you if you are sending people or not, but I was so hungry. I got 2 hot dogs and a drink, and it probably cost me like $20. Actually, it's probably more than that. Yeah, it's probably like $25. That's so overpriced. But
sounds
like,
about right.
Yeah. So I got No, he got me doing it. So I was putting like ketchup on my hot dog. I was so hungry. I was like, oh, I haven't ate like all day. Like this is gonna be so good. And the guy right next to me, like someone from across the way, like started it. Like you just heard like like from like, and and you could tell the guy next to me had been like waiting all night to be able like for this. And he just yelled it, like he turned and like right into my ear. And like the first time I was just like, okay, just get the ketchup on the hot dog, just get the ketchup. And then like it kept going, like a few more people did it. My guy next to me just like went off on it like 5 in a row, just right. And I didn't even like do like the ketchup. I just stood there, like I didn't like listen to it. And I was just like deciding like, am I gonna say something to this guy? I wasn't gonna actually swing on him, but like the thought crossed my mind. I was like,
you're gonna punch this fan for just being a wrestling fan,
for not being self-aware enough to realize there was another human being this far away from his face, and he's yelling at the top of his lungs. It wouldn't have really mattered what he was yelling, but the fact that it was the LA Knight, I was like, oh, this is the perfect combination to get some right now. You know what I mean? I was like, this is not good for this. This guy needs to stop. But anyway,
could you have taken him? Like if you had
prevailed.
swung on him, could you have taken him?
Of course, Jeremy. Come on.
Okay. I didn't know if he's like this big dude. Like, no.
Come on. No, this wasn't like any. This was just like a regular dude. I mean, to be honest, probably 50-50. You know what I mean? Like that's probably just as likely to kick my ass. You know what I mean?
Use the Cody Rhodes street fight training, take down, just kind of grapple him a little bit, and you won't know what hit him.
That's a line from Mighty Ducks 2 right there. They won't know what hit him. Great line, Fulton Reed, right there. You need the throwbacks this morning here in Duluth, Georgia, in the hotel room. Is my signal any better?
It's getting a little bit better. Yeah, it's in and out. Well,
but it sounds like you can hear me just fine, so that's good.
Yeah, audio's fine. Yeah.
Okay, good.
I respect your commitment to fighting LA Knight fans at AEW events. I respect it.
Yeah. We should probably get in. Well, do you want to get into AEW topics so I can talk a bit more about some of these shows that I was at?
We can do that. We'll hit the AEW.
Over 1 million fans and a great number in the demo tuned in. And it was a great show, and I think it's been a run of great shows.
So AEW All In this weekend, Sunday, August 27th. Billed as the biggest wrestling event ever, and with over 80,000 fans in the stadium, probably is the biggest wrestling event ever. We're not going to run down the entire card, but there is certainly plenty to talk about when it comes to this. And then Jensen has plenty to talk about when it comes to his experience last night at Dynamite and AEW Collision. So Jensen, I'm just going to turn it over to you. What's sticking out to you on this card? What are you most excited for? And then tie that into just everything that kind of happened last night with the build.
Awesome. So, I mean, right now, according to Wikipedia, which is usually pretty up to date with like wrestling and MMA stuff, I know I can be not the best, most reliable for some things, but like I'd honestly recommend Wikipedia for like wrestling fans and MMA fans. Sometimes people update like really weird, like random stuff on there, like just like to troll people. But usually, like especially during MMA fights, like the results update super fast on there. Like there's always fans on there and stuff. So, anyways, as of right now, what's official looks like 11 matches. As far as like the whole card sticks out like a sore thumb kind of because of like how random a lot of the matches are. But we've talked about that before. Where like this was going to sell 80,000 tickets without even mentioning or not even announcing a match. So they could really kind of
70,000 before a match even got announced.
Right, exactly. So like they didn't necessarily need like they could kind of like they don't want to put together bad matches, obviously, but you could tell some of this just seems random, probably because it's like, well, we want to get as many people as we can out there in front of 80,000 people on a show like this. Plus, the tickets are already sold, and like wrestling fans are gonna tune in. I mean, they should regardless. So But as far as like, all right, I'm going to start off with this real quick because this ties in with my experience last night. Last night so spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about Collision probably quite a bit on this. So CM Punk was a part of this 4-on-4 match that they did for Collision. It was a really good match. And spoiler alert, I found out so I didn't know it was a mystery partner really at the time because you're just seeing it live kind of as it's happening, but Hook is the mystery partner for people who might not know. And I have to mention that because I would probably bring it up during this anyways. So the match was really good. After I have video of his entrance and stuff, and I'm booing, and I got some good material out of I got really lucky that the whole row that I was in was hating on CM Punk. So like I wasn't, and what was so funny was I was just, I was fourth row on the floor, and I was like, I stood for almost the entire time, and I was just like, because like people in front of me were standing, otherwise I'd be sitting, but you got to be able to see over people and stuff in those seats. So, but I was really like in a zone where I probably didn't say, but 10 words the entire like first like 3 hours I was there, like 2.5 hours I was there, probably like throughout the end, like all of Dynamite. Like I'm like next to these strangers, like big wrestling fans. I can hear them talking about like independent wrestling stuff. But I'm just in a zone where I was with another friend of mine, and we were just sitting. I was just watching the show, just like taking it in, just enjoying the show. Didn't say anything. And then like when CM Punk came out for Collision, I like whipped my phone out and I just started booing. And they're probably like, "Wait, this psycho hasn't said one thing for 3 hours, and now he's just booing CM Punk." Like, okay. And then I hear them. They just start yelling, "CM suck. CM suck," and someone else, and they're worst in the world. And I'm like, wait, we're all booing CM Punk right now. I was like, I'm not like, this is an anti-CM Punk city for the most part. This is pretty crazy. So the match happens. Match was really good. At one point, there was a chant that I've never heard before, Jeremy, directed towards one CM Punk. It changed 3 times, and this will be edited, I'm almost sure. So what wound up happening was it started as a CM Punk sucks chant. It was CM Punk sucks, CM Punk sucks. And then it became CM Punk sucks. So the CM Punk chant, there was CM Punk, and the sucks, CM Punk sucks. But the CM Punk side starts dying down super fast. And all you hear, and Caden was in the arena for like a few seconds, all you hear was sucks. Because there was no one chanting for CM Punk, and everyone just kept doing the sucks part of it. So I was like, this is wild. Like CM Punk is getting booed to the point where they're like, people just collectively just know they're just yelling sucks. I was like, this is pretty wild. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing all this up is not to be a CM Punk hater. It's actually quite the opposite.
Really? All this is not to be a CM Punk hater.
This is a big swerve. Caden in the chat, I'm going to pull this up. Caden says this is true. See, and like I said, I'd imagine they edit it to where, because it would sound really strange on TV. But after the match, okay, first CM Punk, and normally this would bother me because it's already a long show. We have Dynamite and Collision, and like I don't want to be there all night. I love wrestling, but I want to be there. I left Raw after 1 hour. You know what I mean? I saw Cody and bounced pretty much. Like, but I wasn't going to do that at Dynamite or Collision, AEW in general. But after the match, CM Punk took the time to like walk all the way around the ring, up the entrance ramp, talk to so many fans, took so many pictures. Like he was legitimately walking. I could overhear him talking to some people like that were like telling him like personal stuff, like just really like this guy's their hero. You know what I mean? And he was like, "Are you feeling okay? Like, are you doing okay?" You know what I mean? Like they were like, he was like seemed genuinely interested and cared that his fans wanted to like be there up against the guardrail and like really like have a chance to talk to him. And then he got it, and then he grabbed a fan's Terry Funk Forever sign. I got probably the best picture I've ever gotten in my life of him holding that sign. I got like through a fan's hands, like as he was clapping. It's on my Twitter. And he got that sign and like cut this incredible promo about like how you need to remember legends and like how you have to like respect, you have to like really really what's the word? Not enjoy, but like cherish, like kind of like the type of like Sting still around. Like you have to like appreciate that is what I'm getting at. And if guys like Terry Funk, you know, exist and they you know are talked about in like a positive light after they pass, that's really all that life could like. All you could really hope out of life is like, you know, those kind of things and stuff. And like, it was a really, really good promo. And honestly, coming out of it, I was like, listen, I think CM Punk's a jerk. Y'all know I don't like the guy for a lot of reasons, but like when he pulls a layer back like that and you see like him being, you know, nice to people and like how much people care about him and the nice stuff that he said about Terry Funk, the nice stuff that he said about so many other legends in that promo. I hope that promo airs, by the way. It was after his match in Collision. It really was like, because it's strange because during the match, he's doing the Hollywood Hogan. He's getting a ton of heat. But then after the match, he like was the ultimate babyface. And I was like, it's a very strange dynamic. It's interesting. I actually like it. It's pretty fun as a wrestling fan. And I have to give him credit. Like Phil Brooks, the human being, like he gained a lot of points with me last night. Like how he treated the fans and everything he said after his match.
So are you saying that the CM Punk on-screen persona maybe is not who CM Punk is in real life?
Well, I mean, I never thought that was the same thing to begin with. I'm not, but because the stuff that I don't like about CM Punk is more the backstage stuff, the personal stuff.
Well, what if he's just playing a character backstage? That's not who he actually is. He's trying to create the drama to bring it to on screen, and then they don't want to do it on screen.
So you're suggesting he's like Jim Carrey and Man in the Moon, like method acting? Dude, that would annoy the hell out of me. I love that Man on the Moon movie back in the day. But back in the day, man, I gotta have saying that. But I saw that documentary on Netflix about it years back, and I was like, dude, if this guy was around me, if I was his parents and he was talking to me as if he was my deceased son and stuff like that was weird as hell seeing that. That said, no, I wouldn't. Because the reason being, Jeremy, I think most professional, even MJF, isn't doing that backstage. Like he's not walking around like being a dick to everybody in real life. I mean, okay, maybe he is, Jeremy. Maybe he is. It's kind of hard to keep a job IRL if you act like that around people, like for real, you know.
Not in wrestling.
And that's true. I mean, to a degree, wrestling is one of the few professions where you could have zero friends whatsoever, but draw money, and like you could just have like your own locker room and just stay away from people. I mean, not that Brock Lesnar is hated or anything like that, but he's basically treated that way. It's like own locker room, own plane, come in, first match of the show, leave before the second match, you know, back home before the third match. So, yeah. Anyway, no, you're right.
I love that you stayed silent throughout the entire time and then just still mustered up the energy to just boo and heckle CM Punk. I don't know, maybe the Young Bucks are in control of the editing this week on Collision, and they'll turn those chants up. They'll be louder than what you heard in the arena. They're EVPs. I feel like they should be able to do something with the editing if they really wanted to. So I guess we'll find out on Saturday and watch Collision if you hear those chants or not. You know they are there. Stephen Jensen has told you those chants are there. We'll see if they are very loud or non-existent.
And Caden, who is there also said that they confirmed what I said. So
yeah, no one cares about him. No one, his opinion doesn't actually matter.
Man, and I also saw Caden said that he has a T-shirt for me that he didn't give me again last night. Second show in a row that we've been at where
I think Caden is a complete liar on this stuff
it's
because
possible.
he he's apparently had a wedding gift for me or birthday gift for me, and this was
Your wedding was like a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Now at this point, like you can mail it. I don't know if I'm going to see you at a show, but mail exists. You can certainly do that. So I think he is a liar and just says these things to make it seem like he has a gift, and he actually has none of this. That's my theory.
Funny.
That's what I'm going with.
That's funny.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, but I'll like to add on to the Collision and Punk stuff though. Like, so they're like, that's, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that were waiting for me to say some nice stuff about CM Punk, and I genuinely can say that like I really, really appreciated what he did last night as a fan. Now, the rest of the experience really, really positive. They need to figure something out. Although it's tough because when you're sitting in the fourth row, like, or not even just the fourth row, when you're sitting anywhere but the first row, when you're on the floor, everything is dependent on the if people in the front row are standing or not. You know what I mean? Because then like everyone has to stand to be able to see over those people. I wish they had something figured out to where like that wouldn't happen so often, because I know there was a lot of people that were just like, oh my God, please just sit down, like so we can see, so we can sit. But outside of that, like everything else was awesome. And the actual Dynamite show was great. It was really cool seeing Santana and Ortiz. So like that's actually happening. So that was like heavily rumored. Santana and Ortiz would be on the Blackpool Combat Club team for All In. So we got that. I got to see like most of the major AEW stars. I got to see Sting wrestle on Collision, which like I didn't expect to see Sting wrestle, but him being in Atlanta, like Atlanta's always gonna be Sting country. Like, so it's really cool that because the last time I went to an AEW show, the one when Cody went through the flaming table with Andrade, Sting wrestled on that one as well. So it's cool that I keep getting to see Sting matches. I think he wrestled at State Farm also, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. He might not have been an AEW one at that point yet. I don't think he was yet. But yeah, it was and Hayden said he gave a gift to Will Washington. I didn't get to see Will. I shot him a message, but I didn't hear back. I don't know if he got busy or didn't see my DM or what, but I hope to see Will. So I got to link up with Will at this was a long time ago already. I got to link up with him at Terminus 1, which was here in Atlanta. But it's good to see that Will's doing so well as well. That's a tough thing to say. Will's doing so well as well. But yeah, so what stood out for you on Dynamite, Jeremy? Or like what stands out for you on All In? And then I can elaborate a little more on Collision if there's like more to get into with that.
MJF and Adam Cole is the main event for All In, and they were all over the show last night. They had the 2 sit-down interviews with Renee, 2 separate sit-down interviews. And Renee, they replayed the highlights of their friendship and feud, and Renee's trying to start some shit in that, and they're trying to downplay it a little bit, but also make people know that like, yeah, okay, we're friends and everything, and brothers fight, brothers hug. Cole's like, I'm going after this title. This is what's going to happen. And then the main event segment with Aussie Open, where they help each other run off Aussie Open, and MJF catches the super kick from Cole because I think it was Fletcher who ducked, and then they kind of got in each other's faces, but they still hugged and celebrated and were happy going into All In. Is this being the main event? They are best friends who can coexist. Now they're going to fight in the main event of All In. This is the biggest match on the show. It was the biggest thing that stood out for me on Dynamite, and I'm looking forward to the actual match. I think they've done it in a very fun way, a way that I didn't expect. I think everybody kind of expected the turn to happen at some point, and you get this blood match in a way going into All In, but instead it's like, no, we got 2 guys challenging for the ROH tag team titles. I feel like unless they make a late addition between now and Sunday, if it is just Aussie Open against MJF and Adam Cole, it feels like they're going to win these titles, because I don't see them. Why would you pin a main event competitor on the pre-show and then be like, hey, watch them in the main event? I know the money's already paid and everything, but that kind of downplays your main event a little bit if you just watch this guy lose 4 hours before they're competing for the AEW World title in the main event. So it feels like they're winning the ROH tag team titles on the pre-show, and then that's a way to extend the partnership, and then you go into the main event with them too. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's just so strange because it makes zero sense at all for Adam Cole and MJF to be the ROH tag team champions. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it just makes no sense for them to hold those titles. They're not a part of that show. I know MJF has the lineage, or sorry, Adam Cole has the history there, of course. But like, what I would think, excuse me, what would be incredible to me, and this might be completely unrealistic, but this is a total just pipe dream, is if something happened where like maybe MJF gets like taken out backstage or something, like so that like Adam Cole needs a different partner for the pre-show, and it wound up being Kyle O'Reilly, and like they won the ROH tag team titles, like something like that would be awesome. Like, but I mean that's just like a total just fantasy booking type thing for me, because that thing is like realistically speaking, Aussie Open should they should just retain and continue to be the ROH tag team champions. But like you said, it's a very weird idea to pin or submit or whatever. I mean, maybe you can do like a DQ or like a count out or something, I guess. But like that's not a great way to open a show in front of, or I don't know if it's the first match of the show or if it'll be like like the third or whatever. Like I don't know when on the.
It feels like it's going to be first on the pre-show. Tony's kind of hinted enough and said enough to where it's going to be first. I think they want that Adam Cole MJF pop to be the first thing everyone hears. Like that music's going to hit, everyone's going to go crazy. I think that's what they want the first impression to be on the pre-show.
I think you're right. And then it's weird for like if they either lost or it's not like a DQ or something. It's going to kind of like suck the energy out of that place because they're going to want to celebrate a win for them and everything. And they're going to want to see the double clothesline. I don't know, man. I don't know why they shouldn't. And honestly, just the risk alone. I talked about this with Doug a little bit on Tuesday. Just the risk alone is like, I mean, knock on wood, but like, imagine if something happened in that pre-show match to somebody. Like you're that close to the main event of. Fans are already bought in on Adam Cole versus MJF as a partnership and as a rivalry and a match and everything. They're already sold on it. You don't really need to do this match on the pre-show at all. The whole booking of everything is weird, and it's even weird because All Out's in a week and we don't even know what's on that show still. So like this is like the weirdest. It's fun as a fan. Like I'm looking forward to all this stuff, but like it just doesn't make a lot of sense. A lot of it, but
people in the chat, Michael McCormick says it makes sense for them to lose on the pre-show. They're going to fall apart and actually go at each other's throats in the main event. That I can buy that of like Adam Cole takes the loss. MJF, I guess MJF maybe would have to take the loss. No, I don't like the champion getting pinned again. Either. But see, MJF doesn't care about the ROH tag team title. He didn't want to do that whole bit. Like it was Cole who suggested, hey, let's go after these titles.
Right.
So if Adam Cole gets pinned, MJF's probably like, that sucks that we lost, but I don't think he's going to be like disappointed that they lost unless they've now, I guess you can buy in that MJF, it's been built to where, he actually does care about winning these titles now. And he is disappointed that he didn't get the chance to win the tag team titles with his friend. But then that turns him into a bitter person. It's MJF. I guess you can switch it like that. And Cole takes the loss because he like saves MJF. And I go back to this a lot. When Adam Cole lost to Orange Cassidy in the unsanctioned match, and then a week later steps to Hangman Page and wants a shot at the world title on your record because it was an unsanctioned lights out match. We all saw you get pinned. We all saw Orange Cassidy beat you, dude. Like, so just then, I don't know. People are mentioning kind of the Kingdom, and Y Syllable says, if you're worried about them losing on the pre-show, consider if they won, they'd have to lose the belts to an ROH tag team. There's no one I can see beating them. Yes, except the Kingdom. Chi-Town Spurs also says, I can see the Kingdom getting involved. If they win the titles, which at this point I am expecting, you can lose them in a triple threat. And then they don't have to get pinned in that deal. And that's honestly what I am expecting. I do think they're going to win. And then I do think they lose in some type of 3-way, 4-way. ROH, AEW loves their multi-man ladder matches. Look, you get MJF and Adam Cole on an ROH pay-per-view as well. Like, you kind of help boost that somewhat. It's not like they got to actually appear and wrestle on the ROH proper show. Claudio barely does that. He just does these backstage segments and stuff. You could tape those during Dynamite and just air them on the ROH show. So I think they're going to win. And then I think when they do eventually lose them, likely to the Kingdom, it'll probably be some 3-way match. Or maybe Adam Cole, that's when he turns on MJF, depending on how long they hold him. He turns on MJF and he joins. He reestablishes the Kingdom with Roddy and Taven and Bennett.
Yeah, I really like that. I don't know which way this is going because someone's turning. They heavily implied it's going to be, well, they in their own ways, both of them imply that they're going to turn. But the one that's being more obvious about it at the moment is Adam Cole. He sounds a lot to me like early 2000s Triple H, like when he starting to become the Game. When he would like Adam Cole's talking about like needing to win this match. It also similar like Steve Austin WrestleMania 17. Like, I need to win this match, do anything I have to do to win this match, and then he turned. Like, I can see, but also part of me thinks that they're doing that so that we think that it's like a red herring, and like all along it is Adam or it is MJF that's going to turn because why wouldn't he? He's MJF, he's the devil. So like, it's hard, but I like not knowing where this is heading. And the other thing is like this being on the pre-show, this tag team match we're talking about, that messes things up too, because if this was on the main show, maybe you do the actual turn there, but you wouldn't want to do that on the pre-show because unlike the main show, you could even do something where like, I'm not saying this is the best idea, but you could do something along the lines of, whoever's turning just leaves the match and like the other guy just gets the hell beat out of him by the other tag team. And it's like a whole plan where it's like, okay, this guy's going to be softened up for the main event now. You know what I mean? Like, so I think
you actually can do that. Like, I think you can do MJF or Adam Cole just leaving the other. I don't like any of these guys taking a pin on this. Maybe I'm just too stuck. Maybe I'm just too stuck on the visual of the guy taking an actual loss before, on the pre-show before this main event. But if it is a 2-on-1 type thing, or maybe it is MJF who leaves. MJF just decides that he walks out, he's done. And then here comes Roddy Strong to come be Adam Cole's tag team partner. And Adam Cole and Roddy Strong win these titles. And then neither has to take a loss. You now have the ROH tag team titles on Cole and Strong. And now Cole has a lot more fire going into the main event of like, you just left me out there. And then he has a real reason to be mad at MJF. And that's basically the turn right there is MJF just leaving Adam Cole. I know people want a more like bloody turn of he backstabs him. He like lays into him. He basically a physical turn. It's not a physical turn here. It's just walking out on the guy. But maybe this is the way you do the turn is MJF leaves.
What you could do, and now that I'm getting like really fantasy booking in my own head, and this is also because I don't have to work directly after this today, so I have a little time to like think some stuff out here today. With what if they just did this, Jeremy? It's a mixture of all of our ideas. Because this, once again, would throw some of this off as being on the pre-show. Like, because you wouldn't want to do the turn, like an actual turn on the pre-show, right? Because that'd be really weird to do that on the... Because it's the pre-show. Because, like, it's not the paper... Like, I don't think that many people are going to watch the pre-show in comparison to especially in comparison to how many people would watch Dynamite last night. Like, you might as well have just done it on Dynamite if you were going to do like a turn, not on the pay-per-view. And like pre-show, that's different than the actual, I don't think as many people would see it on the
I think
pre-show.
more people are going to watch the pre-show than watch the pay-per-view. Pre-show's free on YouTube.
Yes, technically that could happen because it's free and people, but
I'll tell you what the viewership numbers are for the pre-show for Double or Nothing. It's at 306 views. That was the Double or Nothing pre-shows. That's on YouTube. That's just the YouTube portion. That's not anywhere else you can watch it. That's more buys than they're going to get. So I think plenty of people will watch the pre-show.
But how many of those were? The difference is how many of those were live though, because like a lot of those views are going to be after the fact. Like there wasn't 300,000 people watching it live, and that's if there was you know what I'm saying? Like there's a big difference between how many people are tuning in on YouTube as it's happening versus that number you just read out.
I think there's plenty of people watching it live. Again, this is just the YouTube. You can watch the pre-show on like Fight. You can watch it through whatever streaming method. You wanna watch it through. I think there's plenty of people watching it live. And I know even buy rates are not completely, it was only this many viewers. Like if a show does 100,000 buys, obviously people are watching it through other means, and then it's more than 100,000 people. But it's a free show, YouTube. Like plenty of people watch these All In or buy-in shows. So
that's fair.
I think the viewership will be there.
That's fair. So we'll just say, all right, at the end of the day, it is on the pre-show. So like it's on the pre-show, and this is where you could use this to your advantage if you book it this way. And once again, this is a mixture of all of our ideas here. You can do an angle where MJF is quote unquote late to the stadium for whatever reason. They can say it's travel issues, visa issues, whatever. Like they can just say like he's the main event of the show, but like he's missing the pre-show. He's not here on time for the pre-show. Adam Cole needs a partner. That way no one's actually turned, but it's heavily implied that MJF is just no showing. But like it's framed to the viewer into MJF, into Adam Cole and everybody as MJF is late to the building because of travel issues in the UK. And then you do Roderick Strong and Adam Cole. The two, they win the ROH tag titles together. That actually makes sense. The two of them being the ROH tag team champions, you could do something going forward with that. And they win those obviously as baby faces. They get massive pop, massive cheer, like all's good. Adam Cole still won the ROH tag titles with Roddy. And we know that we're still going to get Adam Cole versus MJF in the main event. But in the main event, Adam Cole turns on MJF. So like you still get Adam Cole and Roderick Strong turning his heels by the end of the show. You know what I mean? Like you could basically swerve everybody at the beginning of the show into thinking MJF has turned because he no-shows the tag match, but in reality he actually did have travel issues and like he didn't mean to miss the match. And Adam Cole turns on him, So I think you could maybe do something like that where you can get around having anyone lose, either the main event people losing in the opener, and then you can still get the Adam Cole heel turn, or at the end of the day, MJF could still just turn because he's MJF. But how do you feel about that idea of like kind of what I just laid out?
No, I'm fine with that because it's similar to what I was saying of you do get Cole and Strong winning the titles, and nobody has to take a loss on whether it's MJF or Adam Cole. And then MJF and Adam Cole technically don't win the titles, but Cole and Strong win them. You get the main event that you're going to get, and whether they do a turn or whether whoever turns, whether it's MJF or Adam Cole, in that sense, you add a little extra heat to the main event. You have a more clear divide in the main event, babyface, heel, as opposed to right now, it's just two baby faces in the main event. Oh, somebody mentioned, Adam Cole and MJF just have a match. They win, or whoever wins, and then Roddy Strong comes out and attacks afterwards. If you're closing this show with Roddy Strong standing tall, you better be prepared to make him the face of the company forever. Because it's a big show to have Roddy Strong stand tall at the at the end of it. But yeah, I can see the walkout scenario or the late scenario, and then you get Cole and Strong winning the titles. I can definitely see that playing out in that way.
One thing though that I hope we do see, especially in front of 80,000 people though, is the double clothesline. I really would like to see the pop that gets, because people are just fiending to see that thing. And also
that's where honestly they've built up the kangaroo kick and the double clothesline so much that people are going to be very mad if they don't get that. So if MJF walks out, that's the real heel turn, is you've denied us of the double clothesline and kangaroo kick.
Exactly. But the one thing that has been in the back of my mind about the double clothesline is that's like the perfect if someone is going to turn, because you're holding each other's hands basically, and it's like one guy could just pull the other one in and clothesline him, and that's an easy heel turn right there. Like the fans are going crazy looking for the double clothesline. You're basically set up for a rainmaker right there. Boom. So look out for that too, potentially, for everyone watching. Like as they go for the double clothesline, that'd be a really easy opportunity for whoever's going to turn. So
there you go. Jensen calling the shot with that. What else from All In? We had some big changes coming out of Dynamite. I'll kind of quickly run those down. But Rey Fenix was taken out of Stadium Stampede. And so the best friends side, Orange Cassidy and Eddie Kingston and Penta it's going to be 5-on-5. And then Santana and Ortiz are added to the Blackpool Combat Club side. They made their return last night. They are siding with Moxley, Yuta, and Claudio. So instead of 6-on-6, it is now 5-on-5. AR Fox was taken out of the coffin match. Swerve dropped him from the group. Christian Cage will now team with Swerve against Darby Allin and Sting.
Cage.
No, Christian
Cage. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. Brian Cage came with Swerve last night. Sorry.
Yes. Christian Cage will now team with Swerve against Darby Allin and Sting. And then Tony Khan announced this. It wasn't, it was part of the, it was part of Collision. So look, I'm probably spoiling it because it is a Collision spoiler. Tony Khan's on record of saying this is on AEW Restricted. We're getting Jungle Boy Jack Perry against Hook for the FTW title. And also Billy Gunn made his return to help the Acclaimed. And we're going to get Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed against House of Black in a trios match. Thoughts on the kind of additions and subtractions to the card?
Yes. So I was surprised when they booted AR Fox out of Mogul Embassy. Brian Cage came out and attacked him. Brian Cage is super huge in person too. Like being like that close to the ring, it's like massive. Then he came out with the Sting face paint for the main event, which it's cool that he does that, but he also isn't Sting, but I get it. I also the Christian Cage promo he cut on
that dude
on Nick Wayne was savage. It's wild that Christian's gimmick now is just like attack people whose parents have passed. Like that's the coldest gimmick I've like ever seen. But he's getting massive heat. Christian is a pure heel right now. I mean, I give him credit for that, but that's rough.
Yes, Christian just completely, buried, and he buried the dead. Yeah, he's like, I know you had a father, buddy, and here your father's dead.
So yeah, it's brutal. But the Hook was on Collision. He came out and he beat up Jack Perry, and I gotta say, it's been growing on me week after week, but I love Jack Perry as a heel. Like he is becoming one of my favorite guys in all of wrestling right now. Like I think the whole thing just works really well for him. Especially after that RVD match, I just saw him like a different light. Like I know that might sound weird to some people because like RVD is like, he's past his prime and stuff, but he can still go. Like I think RVD's still pretty darn good for like 50, whatever he is. But But for whatever reason during that match, I just saw Jack in like a different light. And then now I've gotten more used to like the theme music and stuff and his new look and stuff. I think it's working really well. I'm trying to think of like well, of course you mentioned Phoenix getting taken out. So and I wonder why AR got taken off. I know that some of these guys like may legitimately have issues like getting into the UK for like various reasons. So like I'd imagine that probably plays into like who can and can't go and like possible changes and stuff. But and the reason I bring that up with AR is because it seemed abrupt because his teaming with Swerve just started, and I thought it was perfect for both guys.
It was
like, yeah, it didn't make sense to end that.
Luckily,
go ahead. Yeah,
I would say when it comes to Fox, it does seem like it might be travel related, and he's not able to go to the show. Which, if that's the case, that's unfortunate. And I don't know when they found out about that. If they could have done it sooner, they could have made this change but not completely split Swerve and Fox. It could have, because I did like that pairing. And also our Fox just went to Nick Wayne's house and bloodied him up and, beat the hell out of him. And then Darby's like, it's all good, man. We forgive this. It's okay. Sting and Darby attacked Fox at the school. It's like, yeah, it's fine. We're okay. It's cool. All's forgiven because Swerve just dropped you. It kind of undermined that big angle, which I really liked a few weeks ago with Swerve and AR Fox attacking Nick Wayne. I would have preferred if they have to write around Fox not being able to go. I get that. You got to get around that somehow. Could have just been, hey, Fox loses the match to Nick Wayne. If this is how you're going to book it, by the way, you could certainly, there are a bunch of different angles you could do. But if you're going to book this tag team match, Fox loses to Nick Wayne. I don't know. They clearly didn't want to do like another injury angle since they just did that with Phoenix. But he loses to Nick Wayne, and then Swerve just does, look, you're my guy. This doesn't change anything between us. But I can't, I don't know. I don't know if I can trust you in this big match. Kind of the same promo, just without the actual attack. I don't know if I can trust you in this. And then Fox is disappointed. And then you got a little bit of tension, but then you got Fox like trying to work to prove himself and to work his way back into Swerve's good graces after losing. But you don't actually do this full on turn that they did to keep him out of the group.
Yeah. I mean, they could have easily wrote around this. Especially even with the storyline that's already happened up to this point, you could have easily just done something where like where it's like based on the footage or maybe like additional footage, or they record something where like AR Fox, in that attack at Nick Wayne's school, like attacked someone else, or like something. They can make it just be like he went way past the line and like got arrested for it and like can't be at the, you know what I mean? Like they could, you know what I mean? Like I'm just saying, like they could have easily done something where like he gets taken off this, like you can take him off the show without kicking him out of the group and making it and giving them a reason why he couldn't be in the UK. And it could literally be as simple as like they go back to Nick Wayne's school, like he goes back by himself, and there's like security camera footage of him going in there and beating down Nick again, or beating down one of his family members again, or something like that. And the cops get called, they take him away, and it's like he's not going to be in the UK this weekend.
I actually like that.
I
really I actually really like if they do. It goes too far and like, all right, dude, yeah, you can't go back there. It's security camera footage. I like that. I was booking based on, okay, you booked this tag team match last night, and so you got to write around this tag team match. But theoretically, you don't have to do this tag team match. You could have booked something else over this tag team match as a way to get them out. And the way you could have easily done that is if you already announced the tag team match, fine. Because I don't know when they found out. So here's the thing is like, I don't know when they found out about when Fox would be unable to go and when they announced the tag team match. The tag team match was announced last week. So when did they find out that Fox wasn't able to go? You could still do the arrest thing. You could have honestly just had Swerve and AR Fox win last night. They pinned Nick Wayne. It's fine. And then afterwards show the footage of Fox going too far, gets arrested, and then you got to figure out Christian Cage into the mix type of thing. Or you show the footage beforehand, and Fox can't do the tag team match last night. Luchasaurus takes Fox's place in the tag team match. Luchasaurus pins Nick Wayne. So then you're helping the TNT title match for All Out as well with Darby and Nick Wayne, or Darby and Luchasaurus.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all that. There's so many moving parts with all this. Someone else also mentioned, I'm going to pull this up. T5 the Great mentioned Fox is working as a mole, gets back to Darby just to stomp him, and he's still with Swerve. I could see something like that maybe happening because last night AR Fox didn't really get physical with Mogul Embassies, if I remember correctly. Like, he just got kicked out of the group. Darby gave him his hand, and then they just like stared down like from the ring, and the rest of them were on.
Right, they left by that point. He didn't have a chance to get physical. He got beat up.
No, but that's what I'm saying is like we never. Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know, man. It'd be weird to like turn him and then turn him back so fast, but they just did that though. Like, he was a babyface a few weeks ago and then turned to join Swerve. And then luckily for them, they have all the history between Darby and AR that they can like fall back on. And also, I got to mention this. AR was basically cheered as a babyface last night anyways because of all the fans he has in Atlanta because of WWE 4 and everything. And also Teriyaki and some of the students were like were security guards last night during Dynamite and stuff, so that was cool to see. But yeah, so like AR was already getting cheered last night. So like if you were gonna turn him babyface, last night was the place to do it. But I do still think it's a miss, in my opinion, for AEW to break up AR Fox and Swerve as a tag team or as a stable. However, what they were doing was working. So.
Anything else from All In? We got Stadium Stampede. I thought the Jericho and Ospreay segment last night was really good. I think the match is going to be good anyway. The promo sold me on the match more as someone who just didn't have a ton of investment outside of like, oh, okay, cool, Chris Jericho, Will Ospreay. I got more invested in this with that promo last night from those two.
Yeah, and Will Ospreay mentioned that his contract's up in 6 months as well, which is obviously
okay. Let me get this out of the way. I understand It's contract news. Everyone loves this. It's very well known his contract expires in February 2024. He has said this so many times. And maybe I'm just so far in my wrestling news bubble that, I know this and I've been knowing this. I mean, I can literally Google Will Ospreay contract, Fightful, and here we go. What do we have? Will Ospreay confirms his New Japan contract is up February 2024. This was written in April 2023. So Will Ospreay is under contract for 5 years. This was written in 2019. When is 2019? 5 years later, 2024. It's not new.
Right. Okay.
January 2023. Will Ospreay says my deal is up next year.
Has he mentioned
news?
Has he mentioned it on television before?
I don't know if he's actually said it on television.
Because like it's a pretty big deal to like go on AEW TV and like make it known that he's going to be free in 6 months. Because like most of the fan base probably didn't know that.
He's mentioned it so much. No, all this fan base is online. Are you kidding me? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's fair.
Will Ospreay on his 2024 free agency. I'm fairly positive New Japan and I will work out a deal. This was written in April. It's known. It's very well known. I do agree that like actually saying it on TV makes it seem like it's a much bigger deal, but this is not anything super new that Ospreay's contract is up in February 2024. And he's been very open and honest saying like, I'm probably sticking with New Japan. So what you heard last night on television was a lot of, hey, let me work and try to get a little bit more money out of this whole deal, because the actual Will Ospreay who does these interviews, who is not working and trying to hype up a big match, basically says I'm sticking with New Japan.
Well, I've heard that he likes where he lives, and like it's just way easier for him to work for New Japan logistically and stuff. Is what I understand. Obviously, he has a great role in New Japan as well. Like he's treated like a massive star there. But dude, in all honesty, I mean, I've been saying this about Will Ospreay for a while. Like, I know he's been one of the best in-ring wrestlers in the world for a while. Right now, he might be the most complete, just overall, just best professional wrestler in the world, like anywhere. And like last night, and I've been saying this too ever since he came to AEW. There's just a difference when you can get like the women in the audience to be like just in love with you. There were people with signs, Will Ospreay is daddy and just screeching at him, and I'm like, as I see this guy, I saw him in the ring, and what was so funny, someone in the crowd yelled out, they were like, because you always get these people who like, they've been waiting all year to like say anything in public, probably like this, like they blurt out these phrases during wrestling shows, and like sometimes they hit, but most of the time they miss. Sometimes they get some courtesy laughs from like the people around them in their section. But this one guy yelled out, Will Ospreay dresses like a child. And I looked over at who yelled it, and it was a grown man holding a replica title belt. And I was like, come on, man. Like, and anyway, but my point is, Will Ospreay, if he's available in 6 months and AEW has any opportunity to sign him, Tony Khan not only needs to sign Will Ospreay, they need to immediately put the AEW World Championship on him. Like, he is the one. Like, outside of the WWE, he is the one. He is the AJ Styles in early 2000 TNA to me, of like, he is the guy outside of the WWE who has the most potential to be just the star of professional wrestling. That guy has it all. I mean, in ring, he's put on a lot of size. The last time I saw him live, he was way smaller. I mean, it's just like, he's looking good. The women love him. The dudes think he's cool. Like, everything about him, like, he's hitting. And like, that every match he has is going to be a banger against everybody. Like, you can have high expectations and he hits them every time. So like, he's the guy. He's the guy. Like, and I don't say that about many people. I say that about Cody Rhodes. And then pretty much the only other person I'm saying it about right now is Will Ospreay. So I'm definitely on that hype train massively right now. Chris Jericho, I think, is the GOAT, pro wrestling GOAT, best of all time. But Ospreay needs to beat him in Wembley. And hopefully we get Ospreay versus
this match.
I mean, listen, I would love to see Jericho win, like, as a Jericho fan. But also, I really hope we get Will Ospreay versus Sammy Guevara coming out of this as well at some point, because I think that match would be absolutely incredible. So, and I love Will Ospreay. People have said bruv in the chat. I love just it's something different. Like, I like different in wrestling, the different accent, the different just way of talking, there's some people that, kind of make fun of it. They're like, when he says bruv, they kind of chuckle. And I'm like, that's just how people talk other places. Like, that actually sounds cool to me. Like, I like that. So
I pop for the bruv every single time. I mark out for bruv. I don't mark out for a lot. But him saying bruv just pops me so much.
But he's the man. Will Ospreay is the man. I love the stuff between him and Jericho last night. I'm very much looking forward to that at All In. And I think there was one other thing I was going to mention, if I can remember. I'm just looking through the card real quick. It was cool seeing the Elite live, of course. But like with their entrance and everything. Was there something? Oh man, there was something else. If I remember, I'll come back to it. But that was pretty much my experience at AEW. It was a good one. As far as Collision, anything else that you would need to know? It was a good 3-on-3 match with Orange Cassidy, Eddie Kingston involved and stuff. The Renegade Twins were on Collision. I believe it was Robin had a match. I've called matches for them at CDW, so it was cool to see them live at AEW. Also got Barry Morales, who I called a match for at CDW in Atlanta. He wrestled Big Bill on Collision. Big Bill, another guy. Dude, he's
His name's Big
Obviously.
Bill, Jensen. What do you expect?
Well, no, I know, and I've seen him live in like NXT like forever ago and stuff, but like not enough people are talking about because y'all know I'm a big Omos mark and a big like Satnam Singh mark and stuff like that. I actually like those guys because I grew up in an era of guys like Sean Bradley and stuff who were like that size, but like the coordination wasn't there. You always watch them playing basketball and stuff and be like, man, if they could just really run and jump and shoot and could stay uninjured, like how cool would it be to see a 7 foot plus dude, like super athlete like that. And there was always, Omos is still kind of coming around. Satnam Singh, we haven't seen a whole lot of. Big Bill can work. Like, he's a dude that size that can work. And, like, there's not enough probably being done with him. It was, Ricky Starks came out as his manager last night. I had totally missed that they had paired them recently. So that's an interesting layer, is like, it looks like there's some sort of big push coming for Big Bill in AEW, and I'm here for it. Like, if you're that size and you can work, and he's put in he's paid his dues at this point. He's been in the business long enough and been company to company and dealt with his own personal kind of ups and downs and stuff to where I think that like now's the time to give him a big push, probably in my opinion. That's a real rarity to be his size and be as good as he is at what he's doing, in my opinion. Also, yeah, Nick it was Nick Wayne's mom in the crowd, wasn't it? They didn't mention it in the live crowd, but there was a woman who was clearly, I couldn't tell, you clearly related to him that was in the crowd throughout the show. It was cool to see Nick Wayne just in general, after seeing his indie run for so long and seeing where he's at. He got a lot of cheers in the audience. There's a lot of AR Fox students that I could tell were in the crowd too. Because certain people were getting cheered that, like, even like when Teriyaki was in the ring before the segment as a security guard, there were some people in the crowd like Teriyaki, it was like, even like the indie dudes and the women and stuff got some pop. Oh, Zicky Dice was on Collision. He got like a pretty big pop because I mean he's run shows here in Atlanta and stuff, like he's promoted. Yeah, so yeah, it was a really good experience. It was a really good experience.
We're going to move on to our other spotlight. But before we do that, guys, leave a Wrestle Rumble in the chat. We're going to pick one winner at the end of the show, and that person will get 10 entries into the AEW World Title Belt Raffle, courtesy of Wrestle Rumble. So if you have not done so, leave a Wrestle Rumble in the chat. It costs you nothing. It costs you absolutely nothing. All right, let's get into our other spotlight.
Our product is what it is. We're going straight up the middle.
Unfortunately, the wrestling world lost Terry Funk yesterday. He's been having health issues for a little bit, and then yesterday he sadly passed away. Terry Funk was 79, and he lived the career of many men. I know a lot of people like to make the Terry Funk retirement joke that he retired about 50 times from everything, but like when you look at the totality of Terry Funk's career, when you look at everything he accomplished, not only in the ring, I mean, a lot of people just know Terry Funk from like Roadhouse and Over the Top, his appearances in those films. So he had a good career outside of the ring as well. But his influence on wrestling cannot be understated. You're going to hear a lot of people talk about Terry Funk in the coming days, and rightfully so. What I'm going to say about it is listen to the peers of Terry Funk on this. You're going to hear a lot of fan perspectives, and I hope everyone has their own perspective of Terry Funk and has their own memories of Terry Funk. But when wrestlers like pass away, I like to read and listen to what the peers have to say, who were with him, who worked with him, who traveled with him. And just the stories coming out from like Mick Foley, Tommy Dreamer, Ric Flair has said some stuff, but like there's a lot of good stories out there on Terry Funk, and just so much respect for him and everything that he accomplished in wrestling, and just a guy whose influences can't be understated. The impact he had on the business can't be understated, and just the respect he had from seemingly every single one of his peers can't be understated. And not only guys he worked with, guys like CM Punk, guys like Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston my wife was reading this last night, but when Tony Schiavone was calling Bryan Danielson the GOAT on the air, and Eddie Kingston was at home, and he texted Schiavone, he's like, "It's Terry Funk, you fuck. Like, it's not Bryan Danielson." Like, the respect he has from the guys nowadays also says a lot. So yeah, Terry Funk unfortunately passed away. Jensen, your thoughts and memories of Terry Funk?
Yeah, I mean, he's one guy who, you know, our era of Terry Funk is mainly like the ECW, like the crazy old man ECW, like Chainsaw Charlie WWF run Terry Funk. But like depending on your age and who you are and stuff, you have totally different versions of Terry Funk that you could be a fan of. All the way back to being a tag wrestler, obviously comes from a wrestling family. And I mean, just everything he did, just such a long career. He's a guy who a lot of people consider to legitimately be the best of all time, the best professional wrestler ever. And that's not something that that's like an actual statement that makes sense when you say it about Terry Funk. Like, there's a lot of people get brought up in the conversation where you might be like, they were good, but like the best ever, like that's a big statement. And like Terry Funk is a guy, when I hear that, I don't even question it. I'm like, oh yeah, I can understand why someone would say Terry Funk's the best of all time, for sure. Especially depending on how old you are. If you were like, 15, 20 years older than us, you would have like, it'd be like watching Chris Jericho for me in a lot of ways. Like just all the changes and character and stuff and the longevity and just the high level performances for so long and the changing up of his styles and all this stuff. So now also, some other Terry Funk memories that, definitely need to be brought up. Well, the ones that come to mind for me right away, ECW right off the bat, the triple threat match, the first pay-per-view, where he did the moonsault off the ladder. And that was very sketchy looking, but it was really cool that he went for it. Was it, I always get the documentaries mixed up, but was it Beyond the Mat? Was that the one that was like really centered around his retirement?
Yeah. He wanted to wrestle Brett and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, he had a big part in that documentary. There was a lot of different stories, but Funk's story was definitely a big part of it.
And I'll never forget Dennis Stamp, the guy who didn't get invited to the show.
Yeah.
That was out on his trampoline with like his weights, like just in case, he got the call and they didn't book him. And he kept saying like, I can't make it. I've got other commitments. And plus you didn't book me. And Terry felt so bad about it. He made him the referee for him versus Bret Hart. And you could just tell it just made his whole life to be involved in that. Terry Funk's a good guy for just that alone. Like you made some dude's entire life, like by at least letting him be involved in something like that. Like he just because he was a friend of the guy and he had been involved in wrestling with him in years past and stuff. So that stuff's, when I watched certain, like the collective for GCW, when they run those events and there's like, 15 shows in a weekend or whatever, a lot of the time in between, like they'll run, they've even done this on IWTV as well, but there's that famous clip of, the forever. It's just legendary stuff that's just going to live forever and literally in wrestling. As CM Punk said, after the match in his post collision speech that I was talking about, like he really, it really hits home. Like, and I want to reiterate the point he makes about Terry Funk, just saying like, if you can leave the kind of impression that Terry Funk did, and when you're gone, people are going to have just nothing but just positive stuff to talk about, and they're going to talk about you forever. Like you won in life. And that's where Terry Funk's at, So we can go on and on about Terry Funk memories. I mean, he's been around absolutely forever, but I always thought the Chainsaw Charlie stuff was really strange because like they could have just done so much more with just Terry Funk in that, but like that was just a weird era in WWF just in general. But like, but yeah, man,
that stuff it was, but that was like kind of peak Attitude Era.
It was
kind of stuff, like him sawing out of the box, like that dumpster match at WrestleMania 14
dumpster match
is honestly like it's a very memorable match, and him and Foley winning the titles together, which was a big moment for them. Like we grew up kind of same era. So my memories are the Chainsaw Charlie stuff, ECW stuff, and unfortunately the WCW 2000 stuff, which was
the hardcore
awful.
title, WCW stuff.
Yes, he tried his best. He was like the commissioner. He had like that weird thing to Kevin Nash. It was not great, but bless Terry Funk for trying on that. But when it comes to Funk and why he's so revered by everybody is a lot of reasons, but I think one of the big things is why people consider him like the greatest of all time is not only the presence, the charisma, the promos, but the wrestling is a lot of people think of him as, just kind of more of like hardcore legend Terry Funk, which is certainly true. But you go back and you watch some of like the Japan stuff and he's just having like great classic tag team matches. Or he's just having like great singles matches against, I mean, I know maybe the biggest match of his career, the most remembered match of his career is the I Quit match against Flair. I don't think that's completely unfair to say that that's the most memorable match of his career, but him and Flair just had like straight up singles match before that. That was fantastic. Like he just had just good, very good to great singles matches, and he could just work a regular singles match. It was not all hardcore exploding barbed wire death matches. Caden mentions Funk and Onita, which was a no roped barbed wire exploding ring match. Like it's not all that kind of stuff. He just had good straight singles matches. He just had good straight tag team matches, especially in Japan. So yeah, Terry Funk is just such a diverse performer. Like any style you needed him to wrestle, he could do that style and do it at a high level. Just on top of everything else with the look, the charisma, the presence, how he carried himself, his promos, everything else. So if you want to call Terry Funk the greatest of all time, there's an argument there for it. He was a draw, certainly in his certainly in different territories. I think that's probably the biggest knock against him in the GOAT argument is like he didn't draw nationally to the level of a Hogan, Austin, Rock kind of thing. But for where he was at the time, the business at the time, the territories, he was certainly one of the top draws out there.
Yeah, for sure. I would recommend also people go follow Dylan Hales on Twitter or on X at Dylan Wacko or Waco, however you pronounce it, WACO. He's heavily involved with independentwrestling.tv behind the scenes, and he's a booker and promoter and stuff all over the place, especially in the Southeast. But I know Terry Funk was his favorite wrestler ever, and he's been posting a lot of stuff about him. It's like a really good timeline to be following right now if you want to see it more and learn more about Terry Funk. Him and a lot of others. This is it's unfortunate circumstances to why this is happening, but like this is the best time ever. Like if you want to learn about Terry Funk or just like appreciate the man, like go on social media and just type his name in, and you're gonna find matches and clips and more memories and stories. I mean, a ton of stuff out there. Some other stuff like I saw on the timeline that like was worth bringing up. Back in the day, he wrestled Eddie Guerrero when Eddie was like a teenager, and basically like the caption was like about how Terry Funk at that point was already like an NWA champion like level guy who didn't need to work with like a young kid like Eddie Guerrero like at all to begin with. And like throughout the match, Eddie's getting like all this offense. He makes him look like $1 million, like he just didn't need to do that. But like he that's how the kind of guy he was. He has this match with I've known about this match obviously, but I just recently rewatched it. Was the empty arena match between himself and Jerry the King Lawler. And one of the funniest things and just most pro wrestling things ever, Terry Funk grabs a toolbox at one point and he holds it over his head to swing it at Lawler, but the toolbox opens over his head and he sells for the tools. And I was just like, dude, what a pro wrestler, dude. Like his really what set him apart from everyone else was his authenticity. I think that people just connected and it was just very real. Like, I remember like Paul Heyman used to talk about that with ECW, and he would relate it to when he like, remember at one point years back when Paul Heyman Dixie Carter almost brought Paul Heyman into TNA, and he was almost going to run TNA back in like around like 2011 or something like that. And Heyman had gone on some interviews around that time, and he had said, you know, well, one of the things I was going to do when I came in, and this is mainly the reason that they didn't hire me I didn't take the job, was he was like, I was going to basically get rid of everyone who was 40 years old or older and keep one. Like I was going to keep like one Sting or like one, you know, Kurt Angle or whatever. But like, if you were over 40, we were going to let you go. And we were just going to, and he said it was basically the formula with Terry Funk and ECW was like, that's what we wanted to do in ECW, and it worked super well. Was we had the one guy, Terry Funk, who made you believe wrestling was real. Like, no matter what he did, he made you believe the show was real. And he was over 40, and he was the veteran of the company. And then everyone else was people we were trying to build. And, you know, that just speaks volumes to Terry Funk, like, just in a lot of ways, you know, even, like, for Paul Heyman to say something like that, where it's like, you know, I don't want anyone over 40 years old, but, like, I want Terry Funk. You know, like, that's, you know, Terry Funk was the man. And he's, yeah, he'll legitimately live forever in the wrestling world. And he's one of those guys who, fortunately, he did get his flowers while he was alive. Often, yeah. Like, people have always talked about Terry Funk in high regard. People are always tweeting about him. People are always putting his match clips. He was a guy who was well respected and well loved while he was around. And it's really cool seeing that pour now, but now that he's passed, and it's an easy way to, you know, find out more about him and get clips and stuff. But like, anyway, it's too often that like people don't get their flowers until after they're gone, and they never are around to experience it. Luckily, Terry Funk is an example of somebody who people have always talked highly about, even before he passed. So yeah, rest in peace to Terry Funk, like legitimately one of the best ever. So
just watch him throw a punch. Just watch him throw a punch. I think Foley tells the story of like, yeah, his punches look so good because he'd actually hit you with that shit. But yes, it's true though. Austin says this a lot. Like, you could tell a lot about a wrestler just by how they throw a punch. And Terry Funk, this is when I go back to peers, like every peer of his is going to say Terry Funk had the best punches in the business. And you talked about the authenticity and making it look real. It's like, he made everything he did look real, whether it was a strike, whether there's a hold, like it looked real. It looked like it hurt. And so it was easy to buy in to somebody like that. So there you go. So yeah, RIP, Terry Funk. Very sad when the wrestling world loses anybody, and certainly a legend like Terry Funk. I'm not going to transition that into a talk about NWA. That seems, I guess it is a little fitting, but not the current state of the NWA, because this ain't Terry Funk's NWA. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, we kind of listen. I'm not going to say negative stuff about the NWA here in a second. Like, I was going to spotlight a couple things about the show that about the NWA 75 shows that I think people might actually be able to look forward to. If you do want to talk about that, if you don't right now, we can move on to something more positive. If you want to circle back around to NWA, that's fine with me too.
We'll go with NWA. I'm gonna let you talk. I got nothing to say about this show. I'm gonna be honest. I got nothing. So you go for it.
Oh man, I gotta pull the card up real quick. Give me something while I'm pulling the card up.
Watch this show if you would like. That's all I got. I have nothing. I don't watch a ton of Power. I think the main event is a little insulting. I think their world champion is very insulting. And I'm sure there will be some fine matches. I know they're doing some good stuff. I don't have time for it. Katie says, protect trans kids. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely. And listen, I understand. I'm not a big NWA fan either, but they do have NWA 75 coming up this weekend. It is a 2-night show. I went to NWA 70 back in Nashville years back, and that was when like Cody was the NWA champion and he lost it to Nick Aldis that night. That was an awesome show actually. The NWA is really really fluctuated quite a bit in the last 5 years in a lot of ways. And in most
Watch
of them for the worse.
Impact instead of NWA on Sunday night after All In. Saturday night, I don't know, watch a taped version of Collision or go out. It was Bully Ray like say, go out, touch grass, have a life, something like that.
That's fair.
I'm not supporting any of this when that guy's their champion and he's on television saying he's gonna whoop his kids for using certain pronouns. So I ain't doing all that.
That's totally fair. I wasn't even gonna bring up that match really, to be honest, but it is the world title.
It's their main. It's what they're building this card around. So I understand you don't want to bring it up because it puts it, but this is who they're building around. This is what they're building around. So because of that, I ain't supporting.
I completely understand. I'll actually be doing my fantasy football draft throughout most of this, to be completely honest. Like I have my draft set up for Sunday night, but the match I actually really wanted to bring up because it's interesting with it being a 2-night show is Camille and Natalia Markova, because Camille, I think, is a bright spot of the National Wrestling Alliance. Like she's been the champion for like 800 plus days or whatever it's been. She was a real like pet project of the company, where similar to Jade Cargill in a lot of ways, where she like was given a really top spot and like I'll put a lot of pressure and stuff on her as the champion. And like, we're like, she's the champion for years now. And she's done really well, in my opinion. She's had some really good matches along the way. And Natalia Markova, I think, is very talented as well. And they've built her the best of any woman in that company, like to win the title from Camille. And with this being a no limits match, I think that Natalia Markova might actually win the title from Camille on night one. I don't know for sure, because they, what muddies this a lot with it being a 2-night show is Kenzie Page is going to wrestle the winner of that on night 2. And I like Kenzie Page a lot also. And I think, Kenzie Page is wrestling for the World Women's TV Championship.
Yeah, they're doing the Mildred Burke thing.
They're doing the Mildred Burke. I forgot there was they're doing the Mildred Burke invitation. So
yeah,
that's another problem. That's another massive problem with NWA. Political stuff aside, they have so many damn championship belts. It's impossible to keep up with which champion is which. And like so many titles are just so meaningless, including the world title at this point, unfortunately, as you've mentioned. Because the thing with the main event is, even if Tyrus loses, so they're saying he has to retire if he loses the match, which like, I doubt they're going to do that with all that they've invested into him. But at the same time, like, he's an awful world champion for a lot of reasons. And EC3 isn't like much better in a lot of ways. Like he's not he's not lighting the world on fire currently either, like as a pro wrestler or really any facet. Like EC3 is just not really doing well. So like, it's just a bad spot to be in. And it's sad because like there are talented people in the NWA. Like there are some people on these shows, like Matt Cardona is coming back in. He's killing it everywhere. Violent J is going to be on the show. Like whoop, whoop, like, good for him. He's a true wrestling fan. Vampiro is going to be there. I think La Rebellion's actually a pretty darn good tag team. Like there's a lot of good women involved in stuff. Allison Kay and stuff. Like there's good Homicide and Joe Alonzo should be a good match on night 2. Like there's actually some good stuff on here. It's just unfortunate that because of who their world champion is, that they're in the position they're in, but they're doing it to themselves. So, the NWA's done it to themselves. Billy Corgan's done it to themselves. They're knowingly excluding a massive chunk of their potential fan base because of the moves they're making, and they got to live with that. And because of that, I don't think many people are going to watch the show. I think a lot of people feel like you feel and how people in the chat feel, and I feel the same way. I'm just trying to be a bit more neutral about it as I talk about the actual wrestling show. But personally, I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that a lot of people say in wrestling also. You know what I mean? I'll leave it at that. Do I think the Tyrus should be the NWA World Champion? No. Do I think EC3 should be? No. Do I think they should have, do I think every match on the show should have a title on the line? No. Should this be a 2-night show? No. Should Billy Corgan probably be in charge of the NWA still? Probably not. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of I don't think Fodder and Angelina Love are even on these shows. And they're like the two people I like the most about it because I know that they're good people. We've interviewed them and like they're really they're really trying out there. You know what I mean? Like, but outside of that, like it's rough. I can't imagine, you know, I cover NWA Power for the Weekender, and that's the main reason I'm even as tapped into knowing what's going on as I do. If I didn't cover for the Weekender, I would not be watching the weekly show. I will say that.
Cyclops by Logan says, I'm so disappointed in Jeremy. How do you work for Fightful and don't watch NWA? Everyone knows you're not a real wrestling fan if you don't like Tyrus and AEW. I don't like one of those things. So yeah. There you go. All right. I got nothing.
That's fair. We can move.
I need to finish the story. In the WWE, the story never finishes.
Edge may or may not be retired. He had his last match on his contract against Sheamus this past Friday on SmackDown in Toronto. Picked up a victory. He said his contract does not end until September. A lot of rumors out there, a lot of reports. Report from PW Torch said that Edge made some offer, he wanted some certain things in the next contract. WWE denied those things, and then that Edge is likely AEW bound. Edge came out today, literally like a half hour before we started the show, and said that everything's good with WWE. I have a contract extension in my inbox. I'm just not sure what I'm going to do yet because I didn't get to retire on my terms now, or the first time, and now I can retire on my terms. And he's praised Friday night, the treatment he got, the Sheamus, the Sheamus match and everything. What do you think the future holds for Edge?
So I missed that this morning. So did he like tweet like a statement about that, or
it was a video? It was a video.
Okay. It's interesting. That to me sounds like contract negotiation. Because why would you put that out there?
Well, here's the thing with Edge. He's a little bitch. The contract doesn't
today. You need your own making Jeremy addresses his enemies graphic.
Absolutely not. His contract isn't up until the end of September, according to him, which I do believe that part. What we do know about Edge is he is very willing to shoot down rumors and reports that are not true to protect the surprise or to protect himself. Everyone I'm sure remembers when he was working to get clearance and it was reported that he was cleared and he was going to the doctors and stuff. And he just put it out like, nope, not true. Like, no, I'm not. And then of course he returned at the Rumble. It's like, oh, well, seems like you were, when it comes to the AEW stuff, seems like there's some smoke to the fire here. He's still under WWE contract for, I guess, another month. He said end of September. He's not going to outright say like, no, I'm definitely not going to AEW. Like he's not going to say that. He knows how to work better than that, than to say, yeah, I'm going to AEW. I'm not even sure I don't know about the legalities of it when it comes to like tampering and things like that. So I'm sure he's not going to admit that publicly. Is there a contract offer in his inbox? Maybe. Is it what he's happy with? I don't know. And then is he contemplating retirement? Yeah, I'm sure a part of him is thinking like, yeah, maybe this is it. He did say that he doesn't know if he has like another year left in him. And I believe that as well. I don't think he's made a full-on decision. I think a lot can change in a month. But I think right now, I believe the smoke that is he's going to AEW.
Dude, all that actually needs to happen is Christian just needs to call him and be like, bro, check out the promo I cut last night on Dynamite. They'll let us do whatever we want here. Like, Tony Khan loves wrestling. Like, he is going to be your biggest fan. Like, I was joking last night, like, because CM Punk was taking so long after his match, like, which by the way, I said I really appreciated him making time for all the fans. This isn't a knock, but when he was taking so long, and like some of the fans around me were like, man, we've already been here for so long. Like, please just get to the next match, because they filmed stuff out of order. Like, they did the Collision main event first, and then they did the rest of the matches. So, but I remember I turned to someone, I was like, yeah, well, I mean, because they played Cult of Personality the entire time CM Punk was out there after the match, like with the fans. I was like, oh no, y'all don't understand. Like, Tony Khan is in the back right now singing Cult of Personality. He's like Tony Khan loves what's happening right now. He came out multiple times during the show to like try to hype the crowd up more. Like he just like run from gorilla position out of the entrance ramp and, do this a few times or get on the microphone and run back and just like, no. So dude, I bet you Tony Khan he's probably a humongous Edge fan. So, I mean, I think he's going to AEW also. Let's not forget too that, I know you mentioned it a second ago with like his injury and his return and stuff. Back before he came back at the Royal Rumble, there was like that weird thing he did where he did like the spear on like a pre-show to somebody.
Elias. It was SummerSlam pre-show. Yeah.
Yes. Right. And there was a lot of rumors that AEW was talking to him then and that like Edge was cleared. Sorry.
Yeah. What was that? He's confirmed that. He confirmed he went to AEW then.
Gotcha. But it's like it's like and that was what I feel like pushed WWE to clear him was because like they wouldn't clear him. AEW is like, hey, we want to sign you because doctors will clear you. And then WWE is like, well, I guess we'll clear you if they're going to sign you. And Edge kind of like the first time he obviously couldn't retire on his terms because of the injury, and he was the world champion at the time. But this run, very bizarre in a lot of ways. Like in a lot of ways, great that he was able to do it. The Royal Rumble return especially was awesome, but it was a really weird mixed bag in my opinion of like a WWE return with like the Judgment Day and like winning the Royal Rumble from number 1 and stuff, but then it becoming a triple threat. And I don't know, just like a weird, not a bad run, but a weird run. It was cool that he got to do some stuff with Beth Phoenix though. And, and then like with it being, if like Sheamus really is his last match, it's just kind of strange that like it was on a SmackDown with like, I mean, not unannounced, but like not a ton of hype around. I know they built like the show around it, but there wasn't like weeks of build up and then like the big like pay-per-view send off or something like that. Like, but it was in Toronto, obviously. I mean, so, but you know what I mean? It just kind of feels a little off. Like for him to say he's retiring on his terms this time feels a little disingenuous because what it sounds like, unless I'm wrong, but it sounds like this has all been confirmed by him and everyone else. It sounds like he wants, I don't know if it's more money or what, but like he's in a contract negotiation with the WWE to stay. And like they've given him the offer that they're comfortable with, and he's trying to decide if he wants to take it or not. But in my opinion, and I'm not saying this maliciously, this is my opinion, being a longtime wrestling fan and sports fan just in general, like contracts as free agency and stuff. I think the only reason you would publicly talk about this if you're him and say that there's a contract in my inbox right now that I have not decided if I'm going to sign or not is so the WWE comes back to you and says, what do we got to get you to sign it? Like, we don't want you going over there. Now you're telling people you may or may not stay. Now the fan base is going to start coming after the WWE going like, what's wrong with you? Like, Edge isn't good enough. Like, you can't give Edge what he wants after all these years. Like, what's wrong with you guys? It's some kind of bad faith with the fan base to do that too. Not to Edge, but to the WWE. So like, all this to me screams contract negotiation. And I think at the end of the day, what's going to happen is anticlimactic is a good for brutal titties. That's a good way of putting it. I think it was kind of anticlimactic. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, what's going to wind up happening is the WWE is going to come back to Edge after this and say like, listen, this is our final offer. We just sent it to your inbox. I don't think it's going to be much different than the one he's already got. Edge is going to hit up his buddies at AEW and they're going to be like, dude, not only will Tony Khan give you what you're asking for, like, look at what we're doing over here. Like, we can do Edge and Christian here against the Young Bucks. We can do Edge and Christian versus FTR. We can do Edge and Christian and the Hardys. We had all this stuff lined up as a tag team. Edge can go on a singles run if he wants to. He can work super part-time if he wants to. He can do tag team matches where he doesn't have to be in the ring the whole time. He can do, I mean, it just seems like a perfect fit right now. Because what's there left for him to do in the WWE? Best case scenario, he wins the world title again. And then it's like, okay, but like that just makes no sense right now with how hot Rollins is and what they can do with that title. And he's definitely not going to beat Roman. So like, kind of who haven't you wrestled that you want to wrestle? Is there anyone in the WWE left? Probably not. You know, can you reunite with your best friend and do Edge and Christian again a few times and, you know, actually retire on your own terms, like a real high note for like the wrestling fan base, like not just the sports entertainment fan base, go back and be like a pro wrestler again, you know, pop in an indie or two, maybe. As insane as that sounds, you know, you never know, you know, how much you love wrestling. Like, are you like John Moxley? Do you want like, are you gonna just jump in a random show? Are you gonna wrestle PCP, Crazy F, and Manny? You know what I mean? Like, so,
Edge is like 50. He's not. I don't know how much he's gonna be making towns for indie shows and things like that.
I'm not saying he's gonna have like an indie run, but I'm just saying like it'd be really cool to have the kind of freedom to be like, screw it, GCW. Like, why not? Like, pop in one time. You know what I mean? Like, see what it's all about. Pop in there with Nick Gage one time. Like, you know, like, just because he can. You know, like Edge has not had the. He's similar in well. He's really his own guy. I don't want to compare him to anyone else, but he's his career trajectory is strange because he had the kind of like a really fast indie run back when the indies weren't really a thing in like the early 90s or whatever. And then he's been all WWE his whole run. It's similar to like Shawn Michaels in certain ways. You know, Shawn Michaels did a little like AWA and stuff. But like when you really think about that, and it's similar to like Jericho, even though Jericho bounced around pre-WWE, he was at WWE for so long, he would do all these interviews and say, I'll never work for someone except for Vince McMahon ever again. And, you know, WWE is where it's at. But even, you know, once he got that taste in New Japan, and he was like, damn, I forgot what it was like to like have this kind of freedom and have these kind of matches in front of these different audiences and be more of like a professional wrestler again than a sports entertainer and all this stuff. I feel like if Edge got a taste of that, he might surprise us. You know what I mean? And be around way longer than we think, for all we know. So that's my I think if he goes back to WWE, it's the safe thing. He'd be spinning his wheels and he'd be in the same position he is in right now with that company for as long as he stays there. Or you can go to AEW and like actually finish on like a high note for like the real like pro wrestling fans, if that makes sense.
No, I see what you're saying. A lot will just come down to what Edge actually wants and what he's comfortable doing. And I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know what he wants to do. You know, he kind of works more or less part-time in WWE. He seems to like that. He liked doing the more of a full-time schedule. When he first returned, he was on more shows, but now he seems comfortable just working. All right, I'll just kind of show up when I want. Does he want to do another full-time type of thing? And if he does, AEW might be a little bit better option for him in that sense. Or is he comfortable doing the part-time thing? And I'm sure he could still do kind of a part-time thing in AEW. It just depends on how much he actually wants to do. And I don't know. Again, you talked about, you know, he can show up to indie shows. He has this freedom and all this kind of things. Okay, does he want to do that? Or does he like playing? And let's be honest about the state of where the companies are right now. WWE is drawing very well for their weekly shows. AEW, their weekly shows aren't drawing as well as they had been in the past. Does he want to perform in front of the smaller audiences? Edge is always, because he's only known WWE, he's only known big stage kind of stuff. So he did indie stuff early 90s and everything, but otherwise he's always been in front of like, you know, over 5,000 people. You go to AEW, some of those shows do not have that many people there. And so is that what you want to do? Edge has always been, he's been very just much a WWE guy. He likes the long brooding promos where he puts his hair back and gets the spotlight on him in the middle of the ring and stuff. And it's like, does he still want to do that? Or does he want to go to AEW? It's going to come down to what he wants. What he's doing right now, I feel, is very just like a public negotiation game of like, yeah, I have a contract offer in my inbox. Okay, well, why aren't you signing it? Well, he's not signing it because it's probably not up to what he actually wants. And he's putting this out there publicly to maybe put a little pressure on WWE to be like, everyone knows I'm not signing your deal. You're offering me a deal and I'm not signing it. Up your game before, like you said, fans are mad at you of like, sign Edge. Why aren't you giving Edge what he wants? He's a legend. Yeah. You talk to him like he's a legend. You talk about him like he's a legend. It's a public negotiation game that Edge is playing right now. I don't think that's unwise. That's business. That is business when it comes to this. And that's what he's doing. We'll see. I do think, again, it's going to come down to what he wants. I'm sure AEW is going to make a great offer. I'm sure the WWE offer, honestly, isn't bad. I don't think they're lowballing him or anything like that. But he seemingly wants certain things. WWE might not be willing to give him those things. And if that's the case, then I'm sure he'll go to AEW, make good money, and have a lot of freedom, and he'll probably enjoy that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. What do you think his name would be? Because surely he doesn't own the name Edge.
I think it's just Adam Copeland. I think so many people are putting a lot into the Edge thing, and I understand that. Like, I definitely understand that he's been Edge for 25 years now. And so when it's one name like that, it's a lot tougher to just come up. Like Paige and Saraya was even an easier transition because at least she was Saraya before the WWE kind of stuff. She was just Paige in WWE. He's been Edge for 25 years. But I think he's just going to be Adam Copeland.
Power Driver finishes as corner. That's funny. Yeah, Adam Hardcastle. Like I play on Sexton Hardcastle. That'd be kind of wild if he kind of like mixed his old indie name in. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what the future is for Edge. I'd like to see him in AEW for that last run.
Isn't Edge backwards still Edge? I know it's spelled differently, but wouldn't you say it the same, or is EGDE?
Oh,
still do it as
wild Edge? If you did that, and you couldn't even use like the Edge because that's got to be like U2's probably got that unlocked. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. But I mean, egged.
Yeah.
Edge. I'm wondering if you could spell it'd be so goofy to spell Edge a different way somehow.
Yeah, people have talked about that or even like you would just pronounce it like if you just go with EG, but it's or EJ, but it's still Edge. Like I don't know. There's ways to do it. Edge. You know. There's ways to do it. I think it's just Adam Copeland. I think people are talking way too much about the name, and I think it's just going to be Adam.
I mean, everyone knows who he is, obviously. Yeah,
exactly.
Adam Copeland.
Exactly. Everyone knows who he is, and that's the biggest thing that they'll know who he is, but you won't know why he is there.
Adam and Christian.
Sure. The other, what if he's Jesus, Christian and Jesus?
Oh, okay. I'm trying to think of another name that would. I don't want it. I'm going to get us canceled by saying something stupid, probably on accident. I was like, what else could we? What other like religion aside from Christian could we use for Edge's name? It was like that's not going to end up well, probably. No, so
that's good.
Yeah.
Other WWE spotlight. Gunther lost. He lost by count out to Chad Gable on WWE Raw, likely setting up a rematch at Payback. But it's his first loss on the main roster. Not pinned, but first loss on the main roster. What'd you make of this match and them actually having Gunther lose this match?
Dude, the finish ruled. How you like threw him into the post and then Germaned him over the barrier and everything, into like where like the timekeeper is. Excuse me. Yeah, that was cool. Wasn't it just like a few weeks ago that they went to like a draw or something?
It went to like a 5-minute draw, or maybe it was 10 minutes. Sorry, and then but they got the match to keep going because Gunther was like, right. I can beat you in this time, and then he didn't beat him in that time. But the match continued, and then Gunther beat him shortly after.
But good for. I mean, I've always liked Chad Gable, even going back to his American Alpha days, which is a really underrated tag team. Man, it's a shame Jason Jordan, with his injury and everything. It's good to know how well he's done backstage though. And he's still around and stuff. But that American Alpha tag team was awesome in NXT. They had some great matches, some other great tag teams to work with in that era. But it's interesting seeing that they've decided to push him so much because like he's also got Otis there and Maxine, but that's also working really well. All three of them are over. Even when I was there live before I left, like I got to see them a little bit in front of the crowd, and like they're definitely over. Chad Gable is very, very talented. I mean, he was a legitimate Olympic wrestler. I mean, you got to remember that. Like, I was surprised it's taken him this long to kind of get the push, but he's overcome a lot too in all these years. The Shorty G thing was a disaster. They had him coming out in like baggy basketball shorts and like just made him just like super, like it just wasn't him at all. He's a wrestler. I mean, he's like, look at the dude. Yeah, I don't know, but I think I like that Gunther has like a challenge that's been, he's found like a foil. It was Gunther's first main roster loss of any kind. They've built it to where you can believe if you're a fan, like, okay, I don't think that Chad Gable's going to beat him, but I think if I was a kid that, maybe more of a casual fan or, haven't been watching it as long, I'd see this and I'd be like, oh, Gable's going to beat him. Like Gable almost like he went to a draw and then, maybe lost eventually, but like he did get to the draw and then like he beat him by count out. Like now all he's got to do is just pin him. Like, and that's the reason it's been built the way that it has been, which I enjoy. I think it's smart. And it makes Gable look great, that they've chosen him to be the one to hand Gunther a loss of any kind during this IC title reign. So, and then hopefully, I'd imagine Gable's going to lose to Gunther, but hopefully after that, they can do something with Gable that's significant, or Gable and Otis again as a team or something. Or, dude, I'm not even against the idea of Gable beating him. I'm really not. Like
he's got to break the record. He's going to be like, he's already like a week away from breaking it or 2 weeks away. Like,
well, when's the rematch for the title?
I think it's going to be Payback. That's my guess. But
when does he break the record?
He breaks the record like 2 days after Payback.
Oh, it's 2 days after Payback. Yeah. I thought he was going to get it no matter what before. My timing was off on that then.
I think it's September 5th he breaks the record. Yeah, I know it's after Payback though.
So that's exactly why they've done this then, because they made him lose right before he's going to break the record. Now they've set the more doubt as to him breaking the record. I see. I was a couple days off. I thought he was going to break it before that match. Okay, so yeah, Gunther's going to definitely retain. But my point being is like I wouldn't mind if someone like Chad Gable was. It's like someone needs to get the rub off of beating Gunther. Like they have to do something with the same with Roman Reigns. That's a whole other conversation though. But like Gunther has done such a good job of building this title. No, that said, I'm fine with him holding the title a lot longer too. Like if they need to keep figuring out how much longer Roman's going to hold this thing, if they need to stretch that to WrestleMania, if there's no intention of putting Gunther and Rollins in the same ring or anything anytime soon, or Rollins needs to get back surgery or something, they need to like change things up, or I don't know, like maybe you need to keep the IC title on Gunther for another 6 months, another year. So I don't know, which I'd be fine with. He's amazing as the Intercontinental Champion, but I think that Gable is somebody who would be a good pick to potentially beat him, because you want it to be somebody who needs the push, who needs the rub, who hasn't had like a big breakout moment or like a big like stop and start type thing. Like it can't be like a Dolph Ziggler, who like we've seen so many times get these shots over, decade plus. It's got to be someone who like they're finally going to go with, or somebody brand new, like a Braun Breaker or someone like that would have to come in, or something like that. They're really trying to build like fast. So that's where I'm at with that. I think they've done a really good job with Chad Gable. Want to be fine with him beating Gunther at this point, but like you said, Gunther's going to definitely beat the Honky Tonk Man's record.
Yeah, they're not going this far and then not having him break the record. I do think they'll do the rematch at Payback. I know people have thrown out the idea of an Iron Man match, like a 30-minute Iron Man match, which I think could make some sense. And then, if Gable gets that first fall on him, then they like to use that of like, if it was a regular match, I pinned you first. And, now that sets up a rematch. That can set up a rematch after Gunther breaks the record because he wins the Iron Man match, and then maybe Gable beats him like a week or two after the record is broken.
I can see that.
But I'm with you that whoever beats Gunther, I hope they have a plan, and it's not just, okay, you beat Gunther, and now you have the title for like 2 weeks and then you lose it afterwards. It's got to mean something, and the follow-up has to be good for both guys, for Gunther and for the person who beats him.
Yeah, I mean, the follow-up for Gunther, although it depends on how they do everything, but I've never liked the backwards. It's always been like this forever though, but I've never liked the backwards booking idea of like losing a mid-card title and then your next feud being for the world title. But in Gunther's case, there's only that to go towards. Like if you break the all-time IC title record, next thing has got to be the world title. So but it also needs the visual, like you said, similar to like Orange Cassidy pinning Adam Cole and stuff, but like not counting and whatnot. There's something to me about the idea of like, we just saw you lose a mid-card title. How are you now the number one contender for the main title? Like, you just lost. So, you know, it depends on how they do it. But I do think Gunther, either way, like after he's the IC champion, he needs to be either involved in the world title or like win one of the world titles.
Here's what they should do. He doesn't have to necessarily go right into a feud with, let's say, Seth Rollins, if Seth Rollins is still the champion. He loses to Gable, loses the title, he beats Cody Rhodes, and then he goes on to face Seth Rollins. That's my plan.
It's a terrible plan. I could see Gunther and Brock maybe, though. That would be sick. If Brock was willing to put Gunther over.
I don't know what Brock's plans are. I think he should just beat Cody Rhodes, go on to Seth Rollins, and then beat Seth Rollins, and then Cody. I don't know. Then he's there. You want to know
what really grinds my gears, Jeremy? I'm not gonna. You don't need to put up the graphic for this or anything, but this is just a really quick aside. I was on Snapchat, which I very rarely ever use anymore.
Sorry about that.
I jumped on there. I made a new account because I couldn't get into my old one because like I said, don't really use it anymore. But I jumped on there. And I was making my little avatar guy. It looked just like me. I have my little man bun and stuff. And I got some shades on. It looks a lot like me. And I'm like, make my little avatar guy. And they let you choose your outfit. And they have a WWE section now. And I was like, oh, let's go. And I'm like, I'm looking for the Cody Rhodes logo, right? And I'm like, where is it? I see Roman Reigns. I think I saw Rhea Ripley on there. I'm going through and I'm like, no Cody, and lo and behold, Jeremy, right there, a t-shirt that just says, yeah. I was like, how did LA Knight shirt make it into this and Cody's didn't?
They only want champions and popular wrestlers.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah, Pile Driver finishes, there are only 5 shirts. That's true, but like, there is only 5 shirts. They chose LA Knight's shirt over Cody's shirt, though.
Yeah. You got to go with the big merch sellers.
Cody's
behind LA Knights in the merch.
I heard Rhea Ripley is actually outselling everyone right now. So good for her. I'd buy one of those Monday Night Mommy shirts. Dude, and by the way, AEW, okay. Will, Tony, anyone who happens to hear or see this, or anyone this wants to get passed along, Caden, I know you were at the show also. I showed up a little bit late, so maybe I just missed this, but I don't think I did. I looked pretty hard. AEW needs to massively step up their merch game at the live shows.
Yeah, everyone has said this.
Massively. There was no signed action figures for me to buy. I was there prepared to spend at least $200 on signed figures because usually they would usually sell them $100 a piece. And I collect signed AEW figures. Like I would have bought at least one if it was someone I didn't have. Probably at least 2, maybe even 3, depending on who was there. Like we're talking like $200-$300 right there off the bat. I would have bought a t-shirt if it wasn't only $40 CM Punk shirts, pretty much. It was like CM Punk shirts and AEW shirts that like I already own, like just like the logo and stuff. And like just like the whole roster type shirt like they do for WrestleManias and stuff like that. I was like, what is this? Like, how is there needs to be like way more elite like t-shirts. There needs to be Blackpool Combat Club merchandise. There needs to be like what is it? And there was some Better Than You Bebe stuff, but like there needs to be like full on MJF and Adam Cole t-shirts and like your top stars. You should be able to get t-shirts for all your top stars, even if they're $40. They got to be available for people to buy. So I couldn't believe there was like hardly anyone shirts to buy. There was no signed figures to buy. So I bought nothing. I bought 2 hot dogs and a soda. That was all I bought at the show. So like, I was prepared to spend hundreds of dollars at AEW, and y'all left it on the table because you just straight up didn't have stuff.
If you went to a WWE event, you could have got plenty of yeah.
Well, you know, I just recently went to a WWE event, Jeremy, and I got plenty of Cody Rhodes merchandise. I got a Cody Rhodes t-shirt. I got a Cody Rhodes hat. I got a Cody Rhodes Funko Pop. I got a Cody Rhodes signed poster. So yeah, no, they had plenty of stuff for me to get that I was into. And even though I didn't like Cody Rhodes and I wasn't there for Cody, they had like plenty of t-shirts and other people's Funko Pops. And yeah, it was, I mean, they had LA Knight stuff there too. They did. Our boy Gunnar Mathis, we got together before the show and the WWE show, and he told me, he's like, man, he bought some of the Cody stuff. And he's like, man, I just bought $40 on that new LA Knight shirt. And I was like, okay. But, you know, it was there. So, yeah, AEW needs to step that up big time. I was shocked at the lack of merchandise available at that place.
Yeah, they've been criticized for that for a while now, of the merchandise. I hope for those going to All In, I hope they got the trucks. They brought over all the heavy merch on the plane, because there's gonna be a lot of fans there, and you could move a lot of merchandise, and you don't want to be short or, you know, not having the wrestlers that you should have there to for everybody to support. So yeah, move on to our indie spotlights, final spotlights of the day.
I'm gonna give a big motherfucking shout out.
New GCW tag team champions, the East West Express, lost the titles. That's Nick Wayne and Jordan Oliver. Lost the titles to Takashi, Sasuke, and Toru Sugiura. Did I say those right?
Sugiura and Sasaki.
Sugiura and Sasaki. All right, I apologize. I think I said Sasuke.
No, you're good.
Thinking great Sasuke.
I might be a little bit off too. My pronunciation isn't always great myself, so no worries.
But yes, Jordan Oliver, Nick Wayne losing the titles at GCW Homecoming. Your thoughts, Jensen?
Yes, so it was surprising to see Sasaki and Sugiura be the team to win this. Those guys are big in freedoms. And also the finish here, which was Violento Jack basically turning, like swerving people and joining with, they had built an angle on the GCW's Homecoming night 1 previously. This was on night 2 that this title change happened. But Violento Jack came into the ring and he hit, I think it was Nick Wayne, because I think Oliver was down and selling an injury. But I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, Violento came in and he hit Nick Wayne with the chair, and then he hit him with like a package power. Well, no, he hit him with he might have hit him with a package power driver as well into the chair. I can't remember. But then eventually one of them hit him in the head with the title belt to pin him. But it was all based off of the interference and the attack swerve by Violento Jack to help Sasaki and Sugiura win the GCW tag titles. I'd imagine, could be wrong, but I'd imagine part of the reason for doing this is Nick Wayne being, signed to AEW now. He's probably just, and they obviously knew this was coming and they were preparing for this, but part of me thinks that they needed to get the titles off of them that night. Mainly because I feel like there was nothing against the team that won, but like, they're not like a GCW team. They're, I think that they'll probably be transitional champions and probably lose the titles to a team that's more regularly in GCW, probably pretty fast. But so that's just kind of how I feel about it. I feel like, once again, I could be wrong, but it felt to me like the title change was mainly like, all right, well, Nick Wayne's about to be going to the UK. Nick Wayne's about to be booked this day for AEW, that day for AEW, this day. And now he's like becoming like a regular part of the show. And they just can't rely on him being involved in GCW nearly as often. And then Jordan Oliver, like we've been saying it for a while too, like, he's the JCW champion currently and everything. Just had a title defense as well, against Griffin, his buddy, old friend, but now rival. So yeah, I hope that in GCW going forward, they do more Jordan as a singles guy if Nick's going to be pretty much gone soon. But that's been that's been coming for a long time for Jordan. Like, and he deserves it. So hopefully he gets pushed towards the GC. I'd love to see Jordan be the one to beat Blake Christian for the GCW World Championship. Actually, I think that would make a lot of sense if built correctly. Because they're going to take the title off Blake probably pretty soon too, for the same reasons. Blake's on Ring of Honor all the time now. Like, you know, it could be a matter of time before Tony Khan gives him a contract and says, "We need you here more often." And like, you just
Ring of Honor only running Saturday shows, but I know GCW runs Saturday shows as well, so there's a little bit of scheduling conflict there.
Well, I'm also saying, like, if Tony decided to like sign him and like use him on AEW or something at some point, you know what I mean? Like,
right?
Yes, he's on the radar. Obviously, if he's in Ring of Honor, he could always be all elite really at any moment. So, this is always in the back of my mind with that kind of stuff. But new GCW tag team champions, but like I said, kind of came out of nowhere, and I'd imagine it'll be a transitional champion type thing.
I think they are trying to put a little bit of more stock into Freedoms, because they're doing the big GCW Freedoms War Games match. I think that's in October. So, if Freedoms has some tag team titles going into that, then it makes that Art of War show a little bit bigger. And maybe that's where they lose the titles. I don't know if it's transition champion type of thing. I do think that Freedoms has our tag team titles. We also have this War Games match. I think that could be a reason as well for them to have the titles, along with, I am in agreement with you that they took the titles off maybe at this point because of the Nick Wayne stuff and him being signed to AEW and doing more there.
Yeah, but that's a point that needs to be brought up though, about them and Freedoms doing their show. It's like a War Game show. That's October, you said. So
yeah,
that's not too long. That's a really good point though. I mean, and they've done that in the past too. I mean, even recently they did something similar where the Bookers, Brian XL and Amazing Red, they didn't win the GCW tag titles from East West, but like they stole them from them, and that built the big kind of like Hog Wrestling versus GCW show more and stuff. You're probably right about that. I completely forgot that they were running that show in like a month or whatever. So you're probably right about that. But also
sometimes I know what I'm talking about on the show.
Yeah, but also the unpredictability of Nick Wayne's schedule, I'm sure, doesn't help things, as we mentioned. So but yeah.
All right. Jensen, I know you don't fully have to run, so I'm going to let you set up the interview with Adam Priest that we recorded 2 weeks ago.
Yes. I'm glad that people finally get to hear this and see this. Ran into Scott Hensley actually right after the show yesterday, which is cool. Who's heavily involved in the Southeast scene. We talked about him on the show before. But yeah, you're about to hear an interview from Adam Priest, who is the current Action Wrestling champion. This was recorded right before he defended the title against Billy Starks at the Action Multiverse show that they did. But so you'll hear a little bit about some stuff that has happened since, but it's still relevant to the conversation and still worth definitely listening to. Like none of this stuff is dated. The majority of the conversation is about his career and like other upcoming stuff. But there is a little bit of talk in there about some matches that have now happened since the interview that you can go and watch on independentwrestling.tv and stuff like that. Adam Priest is a guy who just not that long ago, just a couple months ago, wrestled Blake Christian for the GCW World Championship. He's obviously big in Action Wrestling. He was very big in New South, during his time there. Really all over the place, SCI and TWE, and really just killing it, Battle Slam. So yeah, Adam Priest, I think you're going to very much enjoy this conversation. And yeah, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on Fight Talk _ and, or on X, whatever you want to call it now. And, yeah. Do you have something else, Jeremy?
Oh, I have to do the Wrestle Rumble.
Oh yes.
Giveaway
Yes. We have to do the giveaway. Of course. Duh. Wrestle Rumble. Y'all got a few more seconds. If you type Wrestle Rumble in the chat, somebody's about to win 10 free entries to the belt contest. It's a raffle. It's a giveaway for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship belt over at WrestleRumble.com. They're going to do a live drawing directly after the show. I don't have it pulled up. Are they doing that on the Solid Monsters channel again? Let's see if it's usually where they do the yes. So the live the drawing for the AEW Championship belt will take place on the Solid Monsters Sounds Off YouTube channel after All In. So Jason Solomon over there always has great post-show reviews. And you can, if you want to tune into that, obviously check out the Fightful post-show reviews as well that night. But also, if you want to flip over kind of Monday Night War style, at some point, Jason's also going to read out the winner to the belt contest over there for Wrestle Rumble. So we are about to pick a name here in a second, and that person is going to get 10 entries. All I need y'all to do, whoever wins this, the one person who wins this, I'll open up my Twitter DMs right now so I don't forget in case I'm not following you or whatever. I'm opening my, settings and privacy. Excuse me.
I have the winner.
All right, give me the winner.
All right, I have the winner. A late entry, literally just put his entry in. Pile Driver Finisher has won the drawing to get 10 free entries into the Wrestle Rumble drawing for the AEW World title.
Okay, thank you. Pile Driver Finisher. My Twitter DMs are open, okay? If you want to just send me a message on Twitter, just say, like, this is me, I won. All I need from you is your email address. That's it. Just send me your email just sometime before, preferably before, like, Rampage on Friday. Like, just sometime before Friday night, preferably, like, right now. If you can send it to me right now or today, that'd be even better. But I will make sure that Wrestle Rumble emails you over. Oh, actually, I just need your email just so if you win, they'll send it to you. But I'll make sure that they get your name. That's really all they need. I'll give them. I'll make this really easy for you. Sorry, I'm making this confusing. I'm gonna give them your name, Pile Driver Finisher, right now, and tell them you got 10 entries. But if you'd like to just send me your email address through Twitter, that way we know how to contact you if you win. Okay, fair enough. That's simple. I'm gonna give them Pile Driver Finisher as the name right now. 10 free entries. Just let me know what your email address is so that if you win, we know how to contact you.
There you go. Thanks everybody who left the Wrestle Rumble in the chat to enter into our little raffle. And thanks to Wrestle Rumble, as always, great partners for the past past year or so with us partnering with us for big time events, big WWE and AEW pay-per-view premium live events. Jensen, thank you as always. Enjoy the rest of your vacation, and I'll talk to you next week when, unfortunately, you'll be back at work. And enjoy all the wrestling this weekend. There's a lot of it.
Yes, yeah, I appreciate that. You enjoy it as well, Jeremy. This is a fun week and a fun weekend for wrestling and for MMA. If you're an MMA fan, we got Korean Zombie versus Max Holloway in Singapore. That's a show that starts at like 4 a.m. So if you want some early morning UFC, you got MMA, you got pro wrestling, you got a whole bunch of stuff going on this weekend. So yeah, I got fantasy football, draft football season's right around the corner. And also right around the corner is this interview with Adam Priest. And I hope you all enjoy it. So see y'all and have a great week and a great weekend. Oh, by the way, Weekender is going to be on Monday because of all the wrestling on Sunday. Weekender will be uploaded on Monday, everybody.
There you go. Thank you as always to Jensen. Yes, we'll get into it right now. Our interview with Adam Priest that was recorded a couple weeks ago. We actually recorded this on Tuesday before we recorded an interview on Wednesday with Teal. So Teal Rhodes was a couple weeks ago, and that aired 2 weeks when you saw it. Last week we had Jameson and Black Italian Stallion on, and now we get into our interview with Adam Priest. Guys, all the links to follow him and support him are below. Really fun interview with Adam, getting into his career, appearing on like AEW Dark, just kind of philosophy on wrestling kind of stuff, which is really fun. So hope everyone enjoys. Here we go. Creator Spotlight with Adam Priest.
Welcome to the Creator Spotlight, the interview portion of the Spotlight here on Fightful. I am Stephen Jensen, as always, joined by Jeremy Lambert. And our guest today is the former New South Tag Team Champion, former New South Champion, and current two-time reigning defending Action Champion. We got Any Style, Adam Priest, joined the show. Adam, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining us.
Good, guys, man. Thank y'all for having me on. I'm always surprised when somebody wants to hear me say something. So I appreciate it.
Oh, no. We're very much looking forward to this, man. I've been following your career pretty closely for the last few years. I know you just started probably about, 5-6 years ago. But really, like, you got on my radar through New South and, like, immediately, like, became, like, a guy in the scene. Like, what was it like kind of having such, like, a fast rise, and a lot of it kind of came like during the pandemic as well?
Yeah, I don't want to bounce around. So tell me if I venture off. Yeah, New South was my first, like, where I started wrestling a lot of names and stuff. I started at a real small place, like kind of like a shithole place in Alabama. It was kind of the guys training the guys. So I never really formally got trained. So I had a handful of matches this one year, and then a handful of matches this other year, and then I met a few guys, and I learned, this isn't real. So my first 2 years, I really don't count as much. So then I got in with the New South guys like CMD and at the time like Donnie and some of those guys. But I started getting a lot of work there, and that got me into Tennessee and Georgia and a lot of those places. Met guys like formerly known as Logan Creed, and I don't know if y'all know who he is now, but all those guys. And then during the pandemic, the South was kind of the only place running, for good or worse, however you want to look at it. So all the big names were coming down here. So it was a perfect storm of, hey, we're running, nowhere else is. So all the names, the GCW names, these indie names, they all came down to us. And I wasn't good yet, which I don't think I'm that great now, but I kind of had to get good fast because I kind of had no choice. So unfortunately and fortunately, COVID was the best thing to happen for me in a way.
Sure.
Shitty way to say it, but that's kind of how things kind of got rolling, and had some matches with some names, and I just got better. So I'm still always getting better now. So
yeah, I mean, Logan Creed, that's a guy. You might have just been like tweeting about him potentially like earlier today, actually. If people want to put 2 and 2 together on who that person may or may not be. That guy, very big future for him. I know he's a free agent currently at the time of this recording, and I've been saying for a long time he's like he'd just be a massive TV wrestler, I believe.
Yeah, me and Logan Creed were best friends, and then he died, and a new guy, Monster, was born, and
there we go.
We've had some bad nights here lately, so he's not real happy with me right now, but we go way back. So he's the best working big man there is. But
yeah, he's the man. He's the man. So did anyone else like when you were training, anyone else kind of like make it, or any other names we'd recognize? I know you said you kind of like were self-trained, but like kind of like in that era, like anyone that we might know of?
So my first I'm proud to say, like, my first day of training, a guy by the name of Daniel Perez was there, but now Rolando Perez of NWA, we had our first match together. We tagged versus 2 other guys. So I started with him in a shithole in Boaz, Alabama, in some random building, and he's done really good for himself. Perez has really done well for a guy, me and him, that thought nothing come of us both. He's done real well. So that's one notable name that came from that building. So
that's cool. Yeah, you guys have both killed it, especially like New South is, and Rolando Freeman on NWA, for those of you who may not know.
Freeman, sorry.
Well, no, Rolando Perez on the Indies. I mean, of course. I mean, he's a guy. Both of you guys like really synonymous with New South. I mean, you mentioned CMD and like some others. Could you speak kind of to like just the overall experience with New South? Because like we've interviewed quite a few people that have been a part of their shows, and they put on like a really great product, and I really loved Action Clash as well.
Yeah, it really I feel like at its height, it was really good during the pandemic. Everything was really good and things were rolling. I'm not gonna sit here and bash people or bash anything. It's just sometimes your time runs out somewhere, and you've done everything there is to do, and you don't agree with some people or some things, so it's time to move on. I don't keep up with it now, but listen, I met Derek Neal there. He taught me how to he taught me a lot. Derek Neal, he's one of the best veterans there is on the Indies. He's better than he ever has been. He's 20 years in. Guys like I said, Derek Neal, who else? Like some of those indie names that come in, the Mance Warners, I wrestled Rhino there. I wrestled Davey Boy Smith. So, full circle, my first ever indie wrestling show, I watched Rhino. And about 3 years later, I wrestled him in a main event. So that was the first cool thing in the indies where I was like, oh, I've actually done something cool now. Because I was a big Rhino mark. So, just names like that, it's a learning experience. Listen, I can't go back and watch those matches now. That's just 2 years ago. and I can't watch my shit. I hate my shit, but I was really learning how to do things better. You know, I still can't watch them now, but I was really getting better at that time. And just a lot of experienced guys that I wrestled in, and they really gave me a good platform and got behind me. And I appreciate Dump and those guys for doing what they did. But sometimes your time just runs out somewhere, and I just had to get out of Alabama. So as much as I love it, I had to get out of here. So
when it comes to the pandemic, I know you.
As you can see by my cup here.
Oh yeah, roll tide.
I know you said that like it was a good thing that happened, and I understand what you mean by that, because you were able to stay busy in the pandemic, and one of the ways you stayed busy is you were on AEW Dark Elevation a lot. I don't want to assume how you came to be on this show, but I'm kind of maybe putting puzzle pieces together here. And was that through Sean Dean because you wrestled him, and then like maybe a week later you were on AEW? So how did that all come about?
Yeah, so I wrestled Sean at Action, and Sean likes to say I hurt him, but Sean didn't know what he was doing. Sean slipped. So he'll never hear this because he's a big name or whatever now, so he don't care about me. But, yeah, I wrestled Sean, but he landed on his head. I put him on his head. So that wasn't why I was already figured to be there. I'm sure if the plans were the other way around, he would have made sure I wasn't there. But, no, Sean's a good dude. We wrestled at Action, but for a time period, I was working out at the Nightmare Factory before it was what it is now. Like, I don't want to get in the ins and outs, but like they would ask people, "Hey, come work out." You know, I don't know what everybody's money agreements were or anything, but I was there for a while, and I'd say the person that spent the most time like critiquing and helping me was QT, of anybody, but there was a lot of cooks in the kitchen training and helping. So I was just there a few weeks, but something personal made me come home, and I couldn't spend 2 or 3 days there at a time a week. So something personal came up, and I had to come home and stay home for a while. So I spent a lot of time there and got to know Sean Dean. And everybody thinks I'm a Georgia guy for some reason, because I've come up around that same group, that AC Mack, Alan Angel, Sean Dean, all those A4 kids. So I just come up around a lot of them, and I know them. So I just got my foot in the door there. QT asked me to come to Dark, and it was different then. It's not like it is now or was. I know it's not a thing anymore, but I was there, man, and I was getting a lot of matches. I mean, it was during the pandemic, and they needed a lot of guys for what they were doing. And they treated a lot of indie guys well, man. They say what you want about whatever. They paid a lot of guys and helped a lot of indie guys that weren't working. A lot of guys didn't do anything but that for 2 years. So they did a lot for indie guys and really helped out. So I enjoyed my time there, and I've went back a time or two, but I just didn't want to be the guy hanging around. I still had some growing to do. So I had some bookings there, and I went on about my business. So, but I don't know if that answers your question or not. Did it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't want to go the long way around, but
no. You let me know kind of how it came about, and then your experience there, which is what I was looking for. And then I was gonna kind of piggyback off of that, because you did do the ROH taping recently, and I was wondering kind of the difference from doing the pandemic tapings to actually sort of being a little bit on the road as they've gotten out of everyone's gotten out of the pandemic.
Wasn't much different. Let me see how to word this. I will be back. They did the tapings in Orlando, but it was just, they had only had one other set of tapings for ROH, the AEW ROH. So it's very fresh, and I don't think they had an idea of exactly what they were going to do. But now with the Collision tied in with the Ring of Honor, and you see the different groups or with certain shows, I think things are a little bit different, and you might see me there sooner rather than later. I don't know. But it wasn't much different than the Dark and Elevation of before when I was there. You seen that I was just in a 6-man and stuff like that. But I think some things got ironed out, and it will be a little different going forward. I think you'll get a more ROH style or what people perceive as ROH going forward. And that's just me from the outside looking in and just hearing people talk. So hopefully I'll be back.
Awesome.
And I think I will be. So
I hope to see you in Atlanta potentially. Like I know AEW is coming here very soon, later this month. They're doing a big Collision Dynamite taping and stuff, hanging All In. So I definitely love to see you as a part of AEW and Ring of Honor more often. And you mentioned the Nightmare Factory, and a guy from the Nightmare Factory we gotten to know him pretty well is Baron Black, and I've met you in person and interviewed you briefly actually at Battle Slam before. You have become quite the legend at Battle Slam. In fact, some of my favorite entrances of all time are you coming out to Gucci Mane's Lemonade. And Baron Black told us that you almost blew the speakers out the first time you came to it too at the base. So, what have your experiences been like at Battle Slam? Because you've become like one of the most over people on that show, in my opinion.
Look, man, I had a blast. It's fun being the token white guy sometimes, so it was, look, the first few shows were great. It was fun. I hadn't been back in a minute. Baron helped me out a lot. Baron's been good to me. I had a blast at those shows, man. I mean, you were there for all the wild ones. It was just every night I get there and I go, what can we do to it was the first time I could actually show like, hey, Adam's not just some bland white guy. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny because you got like all your like other like wrestlers that are there. Everyone just like you just hear from random pockets. You hear, yeah, Priest, Priest. I love that because like everyone's like kind of in on it. Like it's fun.
I got a lot of street cred from those shows. Yeah, let's just put it that way. So had some ladies come out with me one time. I got heat from the girlfriend on that one, but everything. It was really fun, man. It was really fun. Got to meet some cool people. He had some artists there and stuff, and I just had a blast, doing that. And I now do kind of some similar stuff at Naptown Pro in Indianapolis. They do some similar, stuff for like heavily cultured shows and stuff like that, and like for the neighborhood and community and stuff. And they call me Lemon Pepper Priest. That's where that was born. So I get in trouble if I don't wear yellow, but like I've only got one set of yellow gear. So I just mix it up. I love the Meg the Stallion and the Gucci Mane entrances. So I just try to pop them out every once in a while. So.
Yeah. Priest the Stallion.
Priest the Stallion. See, that's my favorite one. I love that one. And I thought that one would catch on, but it didn't because I think that one's pretty cool. But that one didn't quite catch on like Lemon Pepper. So.
What was the experience like with Terminus? Because I know you did some with Terminus as well, which is kind of like a sister promotion of Battle Slam.
So I'm sure it's not a secret that like Gresham and Baron had a lot to do with that. Sure. I think the idea behind that, and me and Gresham talk a good bit now. I'm not speaking for him by no means, but like. I think the idea behind it was kind of like an East Coast PWG in a way, in my vision. Because those first two shows we had were effing loaded, dude. I mean, like, I was in a four-way, but my four-way was Daniel Garcia and two other guys. I'm going blank who was in there. But it was like a crazy four-way. And you had Bandito versus Gresham, which was supposed to be the last ROH title match. Like, there was just crazy matches on there, man. So, I really think that hopefully that resurfaces. I don't know anything, but I couldn't tell you if I do know anything also. If that got back rolling, I really think the East Coast, I think like a DPW is kind of like that in my opinion. Probably the best show I've ever worked for, honestly. But I would really, I'm always trying to talk Gresham into getting that back going because I really think the East Coast needs which we have great shows, and I'm not shitting on any other shows or promotions, but I think that Terminus idea was really, those were some loaded shows, man. So I was a fan of it. There were some really talented guys on those cards.
Yeah, and they put out a teaser not too long ago that there's like hopefully an announcement coming soon. But to be fair, every time I ever bring it up to Baron, I'm like, so what's the deal with tournament? He's like, announcement coming soon, and then like I don't hear anything. So like,
hey, that's wrestling, buddy.
Yeah,
there's
that's
always
fair.
I get
That's fair.
it. I get it.
That's fair. I know Jeremy's big with DPW. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, we were just talking a little bit off air before we started. I was asking about DPW because I know you're working the show. When this interview airs, the show will already have happened, but it's DPW Beast Coast this weekend, and that's a big show for them. Like you got Motor City Machine Guns, Violence is Forever. I don't know how the match is going to be. I assume that's going to be a very, very good match. We've talked to Kevin Koo and Dominic Carini. They have said that DPW is kind of like the new age ROH, with just like the production, the match style, how things are just kind of laid out and presented. So yeah, your overall thoughts and experience on DPW, because I know you've worked there for a handful of shows now, and again, returning by the time the show's aired, you've already have returned to it.
Yeah, I mean, just being honest, and it's not being degrading or anything. I didn't know who they were until a year ago. They hit me up for a booking, and I go to their Twitter, and it's like however many thousands of followers, like at least 5. I mean, I'm like really good numbers, and I go, who the fuck are these guys? And then I start looking at the card, and I'm like, oh, and I knew they had only been running for a short amount of time. And then I get there, and I was like, hey, by the way, I have this guy named Cruel, if like we can ride together. And they're like, oh, we love MLW. So we ride over and we get there and we're like, what is going on? Like we had no idea. The production was that great. The crowds are crazy hot. I go in and they put me in a 6-man, and then I have a good match. And then Cruel didn't even have the booking, and he has a banger match with Carino. And now we've got bookings for years now. So like I did him well. So he owes me that anyway. So like we get there and those guys take care of guys. The crowd's hot. They're not sitting on their damn hands and spoiled ass fans. Just everything, the production, the quality of cards. That's one of those shows you get there, just like this card you're saying that's coming up. Is it Beast of the East? What is
East Coast?
Beast Coast.
Yeah.
That card is fucking loaded, dude. Like I just looked at it, I was like, God, man, I gotta actually have a good match. You know what I mean? Like every card, it's one of those shows you show up and you're like, oh, I've got to be on. Like it's game on now because it's so loaded. And those guys have such a hardcore following because of the podcast too. They were running shows and they've got such a devoted fan base that they're in on their guys. And I'll tell you one thing, dude, that crew of North Carolina kids, I wish I was born in North Carolina because there's something in the water, because some of those kids are so fucking good. The Jackson Drakes, Malachi, the Cozone, all those guys, dude. Westbrook, Big Brother. What's big boy's name? Bojack.
Sure.
Those crop of young guys, man, they're so good. So love the show. I'd never thought about the ROH because I wasn't an ROH kid growing up, but it is a good comparison to early ROH.
I mean, the show this weekend, again, it'll have aired by the time people see this interview. But yeah, Motor City Machine Guns against Violence Forever, Workhorsemen against Kevin Knight and Kevin Blackwood. You're in a submission match against Jackson Drake. I mean, talk to me about preparing for a submission match. You're any style, but it's a little bit of a different style. You gotta go for the submission. You gotta lock them in, make them tap out. But so just preparing for the submission match.
Yeah. I believe that I got to go with what's working. He's had a lot of I don't know if you know, but that kid's a damn mistake waiting to happen. He's broke his leg, he's broke his ankle, he can't stay healthy. So I think it'll be pretty easy for me. But that's a talented little shit, dude. He is good. He is talented. He's fast. But I'm just going to try and pick that ankle apart that's been messed up for a long time. He'll probably slip up. But submission matches are, speaking from the entertaining part of it, you better be on, because those are very hard to do. So I think there's different ways of going about those matches. And I think me and him will we'll definitely maybe stand out in that show, because that's the one thing I try to do is every show I'm on, people know that Adam Priest match was a little bit different than everybody else's. So
Yeah, another big match you got coming up this weekend that will have aired, and y'all can watch it when it does air, of course, on the replay. You got a big action wrestling match coming up to defend your title against Billy Starks. What's it like representing action wrestling for one? And Matt Griffin's a guy who we love, who I hope to get on the show again sometime soon. What's it like being like kind of the face of action wrestling, and then Billy Starks, like with obviously how successful she's been so fast and so young in her career.
Yeah, first with action, they've done a lot for me as well. I really transitioned to them. I think that's why a lot of people think I'm a Georgia guy too, because I've been there so long. But excuse me. I've represented action in Germany, in UK, all around the South, Northeast. They've done a lot for me. Matt's been great. He's got me in a little bit of trouble here lately, but Matt's been great. The show is talented as well. That's a show that is very underrated sometimes, and I'm really trying to get more eyes on it. I would like to. I don't know if Adam Priest is the best #1 guy, but I know I'm one of the best guys to have on the card. So I'm trying to really get the numbers up and get people interested with what's going on instead of just the names. It's a great show in Tyrone, Georgia. So if you're in the Atlanta area, there's a lot of wrestling in Georgia. But that is definitely one to go out to. It's a mixture of a good family show and also a very good hardcore audience also. It's meant a lot, and I try to represent it the best way I can. Billy is a psycho. I'll promise you this. She's not putting me on that apron with that move. I promise you that. I will never take it, ever. Even if she knocks me out and tries to give it to me, I'll find a way. Billy is a very talented woman. She's not a woman. I guess we can say she's a woman now. She's 18. That kid has been busting her ass. I don't know if this is going to her parents. I think have done a great job with how they've handled it. I've had different opinions about young kids in wrestling, and they have really done a great job. Her mom and them, she has really busted her ass. There's a lot of young kids in wrestling, like Mathers and Rogan was a young kid, and just any of those guys, man. She's really earned everything she's got. She's got that fat check coming now, so I'm not sure how our match is going to go. I might just have to beat her ass. I'm not sure. But she's got that fat check coming in, so I know she's enjoying that, and she deserves every bit of it. The kid needs to not fall on her head so much, though. So, But
you sound like Mouse now.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, Mouse is always bitching at her, but listen, none of us listen until we start listening. You know what I'm saying? But she'll be fine. She'll learn. So
yeah, she took a rough. She took a psycho driver from. Oh my gosh, what was the match I just saw this weekend? It was she got knocked out like legit from it. It was oh my gosh, Brandon Kirk. It was Brandon Kirk. Brandon Kirk gave her a psycho driver on open chairs. And like they were standing on the chairs, he hit him and they tumbled right into the chairs, and it was like it was kind of scary because he pins her, the ref counts 3, everyone's kind of confused, everyone kind of checks on her, and they wound up restarting the match. That's how crazy Billy is. She's just like, all right, I'm good now, just ring the bell again, and they did the whole rest of the match like it was supposed to be afterwards. But no, Matt, we've interviewed Mouse as well, and he's always talking about that. He brings up 2 things pretty often. One being how crazy Billy is, the other one being that she doesn't cheat enough. She needs to cheat more often to win. So, hey,
she's a heel in real life, dude. She's a little shithead, dude. But look, hey, I'm not. I try not to be that guy. It's like, hey, don't get put on your head. Sometimes we ain't got a choice. We get put on our head. But you got to build a callus up. So she's young enough. She's building that callus up. You got to. There's a bump card, but then you gotta weigh it out. You know what I mean? So you got to build your neck muscles up a little bit. So she'll be fine. She'll be fine.
Sure. And another something else we got going on this weekend that people can check out after the fact as well is TWE, which Jade Newman, those guys, the TWE arena, in general, has become a legendary kind of venue in itself. What's it been like being a part of TWE, and what you have going on with them this weekend? Because I did not see who you're wrestling.
So Yes, TWE has kind of been the center of the South for a while. Like, yes, Action's a great show, and there's been stuff like SUP and Nashville and all that. But TWE's been the center. SCI, Uncharted. It's a good center point. You can get to everything for about 2 or 3 hours. So Jaden's done a real good job up there. Me and him spent a lot of time in UK and Germany together, and just talking about stuff. It's been the hub, and it's a good little building. I mean, you get that building packed in there with 200 people. Sometimes that's some of your best shows. Sorry, I got some stuff going on. Sometimes that's some of your best shows, man. Packed building. I'd rather a packed building than a shitty half-filled building. So it's a great place to go. Good family atmosphere too, and also some hardcores. Pretty respectable place. Everybody treats everybody with some respect. Fans and workers. As far as this weekend, I'm in TWE a good bit. I've got a match coming up, not this weekend, but in a few weekends. I think that last week against Darian Bingston. But next weekend I'm wrestling a lady by the name of Mackenzie Morgan. She is from Memphis, and she is a very talented young girl that has a lot of potential. She's a great athlete, a lot of spunk, a lot of charisma, and she's been going for a little bit over a year now. I found her at Memphis Wrestling, and I tried to get her in touch with a lot of people. She's got a lot of talent. Her and Tim Bosby, they both come up from Memphis. But Mackenzie Morgan, she's going to be a star one day, and she will probably sign a contract before I will. So just keep that name in mind.
Is Bankston still the TWE champion right now?
He is. We have a rematch because I put him out in SCI, and we finally have a rematch for the TWE titles. So coming up here soon.
That's great. So around the time people watch this interview is probably around the time that y'all can check this stuff out we're talking about. So that's perfect. Please seek this out when it's available. Bankston, another guy. It was cool. It was good seeing him get a shot at the SCI. He got in with the what do they call it? The scramble match, which was it was cool. It was cool, and to see him as a part of it. So good stuff.
Yeah.
You mentioned signing a contract, and Mackenzie will sign one before you. Is that a goal of yours to sign a contract with one of the top bigger companies?
Yeah, I think anybody that says they don't want the money, they're idiots, and I think they're lying. But here's the deal, man. I can only be me. You're always finding who you are, and I know I'm not a finished product yet. It's kind of going back to what I said about AEW. I didn't want to hang around because then you're the guy that's just 0-75 or whatever the fuck, I need to go find myself, and I'm still not done finding myself. If a company wants to come to me now and be like, hey, we love it, then great, But I just focused on myself. A smart guy told me one time, hey, I wasted half of my life worrying about signing that contract. And the more I worried about it, the farther I got. And when I started not giving a shit and just being me, then, fortunes came. I didn't get into it to just do it for shits and giggles either. I do want some money. That'd be nice. But I have this infatuation and this love of, I look at wrestling, I think, different than a lot of people, not to get too romantic about it, but I think there's something beautiful about, I think the cream always rises, and I think the guys that learn to eat shit and eat shit for a long time really get it. We see it like a guy on TV right now, Eli Knight. I mean, look at that dude. Mm-hmm. Look at what he's done for 20 years or what. I think there's something romantic about having the territory live for a while and really finding yourself. I think it's really hard there's very few guys that can go to a performance center and really find themselves and become a big star. I think it's really important for guys like an AJ Styles or those kind of guys that really went through it and went everywhere, then to finally figure out who they are. So I really love the territory kind of style of it. And because you look at the WWE those years back in the day, like people were getting there at 37, 38 years old. You know, it's a different time, but I always it was those are my heroes. So there's kind of a part of me that's like, I'm going to eat shit for a while, and I know it. You know what I mean? Because that's what my heroes did. I don't know if that gives a
no.
Dominic
Guarini said something similar when we talked to him. He's like, you are gonna have to eat shit for a while, but you have to learn to not always like the taste of it, because otherwise you'll just continue to eat it. And at some point you're going to have to say, no, I'm not eating this anymore.
Nobody hates an 8-hour drive more than me. I fucking hate it, dude. I hate all that. I would rather be sitting here watching a football game. Like, I can't stand it, but I also love it also. You know, it's very difficult, but anything that's easy isn't worth fucking doing. You know, it's an interesting life. I mean, you miss out on a whole lot, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is. So,
yeah, you mentioned, you know, kind of the process of like finding yourself, and some people it might take a long time, or you know, you're constantly kind of reinventing yourself to figure out, you know, what works best. And something that I really like about you is your move set, like your the way that you wrestle. That any style thing I think is very appropriate. But on top of that, I really like that you have a basic DDT. Like your finisher is a DDT, and you put people down for the 3 with it. The Alabama Jam you whip out every now and then when you need to. And I mean, you've hit some gnarly ones. I love the one in action, the off the top rope to the outside through the door or table, whatever was set up there that you went through. So kind of what was the idea behind choosing the DDT as your finishing move? Because I've always thought that was like, that should be a finishing move. That shouldn't be like a setup move. That's a legitimate move that would put people down.
I just had to start being myself. I think, God, I'm trying not to ramble here because there's a whole lot I would like to say.
No, please let us know what's going on.
I don't want to get lost. So I was very bland. Like the New South years, like, yes, people like me, but I knew that's not me. Like, I really need to start finding myself. So I really told myself, hey, dumb it down as much as you possibly can and be really good at 3 things and worry about so you're not worried about what you're going to do in the match. Now I can react to what's going to happen in the match. I don't want to give away all my tricks, but I think of everything with 3s. I've got a 3-move rule. I've got just all kinds of different little things in my head because I was so worried about, oh, what am I going to do to hang with all these indie fucks that do everything under the sun? I can't do that. I've always been second, but I've never been the all-state baseball player. I've never been the first-round draft pick. I've never been the most jacked. I've never been the top. I've always been just right outside that lead. So I knew I've got to still get better at all the other shit that nobody else focuses on. And everybody's great. And I'm not shitting on guys. And hey, I wish I could do what these guys like Blake Christian or all these guys can do. I have a real problem with wrestling now where it's like, oh, people shit on what I do and the simplicity of what I do, but everybody else is allowed to have their opinions about what they do. So my opinion of wrestling is very different. And I look at all the stars in the past and I try to go, name 5 moves they did. Name. You will know they cared about Steve Austin. They care about MJF. They care about Dusty. They care about Triple. Like, nobody gives a shit. Now, there is an absolute spot for those crazy flippy white guys. Like, it's amazing what these guys can do. But, like, I can't do that shit. I just can't. And even if I can do it, I'm going to look like shit doing it on the same card with them, and that just exposes me. So I'll just try to simplify it as much as I can and worry about trying to get people invested and caring about me and that's something that's really happened at Action. It's Bizarro World. I'm a heel everywhere else in the world, but there I'm their asshole. So that place has really helped me. Yeah, I just have a real problem with the way wrestling has went with some things, and I just have to do it the way I want to do it and the way I'm happy, or I'll never be happy. And that goes back to the contract shit and all that other stuff. I just got to be happy with the way I'm doing it, and I've been having a lot of fun here lately. So yeah, I try to dumb it down, man, and somebody else's DDT might not be a finish. Great, don't give a shit. Barry Bonds had a different. Everybody hit home runs, but that one guy's swing was a little bit better than everybody else's. You know what I'm saying? I try to compare shit to other sports. You know what I mean?
Well, I remember even like a story from when Cowboy James Storm had that really brief run in NXT, like between like Impact runs. He was there for like a couple appearances, and I remember him talking in an interview about how he had a conversation with Triple H. And Triple H was like, hey, you got to change your finish. Everyone here does super kicks. Like, everyone just uses them. And he was like, difference is, when I hit it, people don't get up. And he was like, okay, fair enough. Like, you can use that.
Yeah. And it's hard on the indies, man. And promote, I don't want to get too in the weeds, but people have really respected me and what I'm trying to do for the most part. And I really appreciate it. It goes with shows and workers, and I try to do it well so people don't feel shortened. But got people who've been really respectful, and selfishly, I feel like I have a good one. So I have to pull out some other crazy stuff. When it gets certain shows, I'll pull out more than a few moves. But I just try to. I was gonna say, I've seen you use a flaming branding iron on people, dude. Like, you're willing to go any style for sure. That's not a move. That's shenanigans. But that's the equalizer, But it don't work all the time, but sometimes it has to get pulled out. So, yeah. What were those experiences like, brother? Sorry, Jeremy. I'll pass it to you after this one. With those kind of like ICW type shows that you have done, like, which is like totally. I mean, really outside of like most wrestlers' elements, but like when I see you do it, I'm really like, damn. And Jay Newman's another one who's been doing it more recently that I didn't kind of expect to see doing it, but he's really being successful with it. What's your kind of thoughts on doing that? Do you want to do it more often, or is that just something where it's like you that's good, you're good on that? Let's be diplomatic here. I really think there's a place for it at certain times. I had a crazy match with John Wayne Murdoch, Eric Ryan. I've had some really cool stuff happen. I do draw the line at some stuff because I just don't see the benefit in a lot of things. Some of those guys are batshit crazy, and I don't understand what goes on with them. I don't play with the glass. I don't play with some of those things. Hey, if they want to do it, it's their life, it's their body, whatever. I really enjoy the environment. To me, there's nothing more beautiful than a well-timed guy bleeding and chaos, and Ric Flair bleeding, leaving after Terry Funk has jumped from the announce table. You know what I mean? Like, I think that shit's beautiful. Some shit sucks. And I think a lot of shit on those shows suck. And that's me being as blunt as I can be. But those guys know that. And I've always been blunt and honest with what I think about some of that stuff. But if they want to do it, great. And there's an audience for all that stuff. But I really wanted to prove that I can do anything, and I can be pretty good at it without playing by their rules, and I can play by my rules. So that's kind of goes with the any style thing. So
you were actually going to ask what I was going to ask, Jensen, is because I see the death matches. I'm like, this doesn't seem like it fits Adam Priest, but you've done them, and I was wondering, kind of why you got into them. So I appreciate your answer on that. And then kind of my last one as we start to wrap up here. You mentioned like the different styles and how everybody on the indies might kind of do the same thing and whatnot. And you talked about Jonathan Gresham earlier. I had a conversation with Jonathan Gresham a while ago where he kind of mentioned the same thing. He's like, everyone just feels invincible on the indies. Like there's no one who has, and maybe you've heard this conversation from Jonathan as well. He's like,
everybody's
no one
Superman. Everybody is a badass. Everybody, everybody's, go ahead.
He's like, no one has a weakness. Like when I get in there, people know that like if I get hit, like kind of striking is my weakness. I'm not like the best striker in the world. I'll pretzel you. I'll turn you into a pretzel, but like striking might not be like my strength. And it sounds like you follow kind of a similar philosophy of that, of like, you kind of got to have a weakness in wrestling so people have sort of a reason to either get behind you or have a reason to be like, yeah, this guy, he's going to actually lose for once.
Yeah, the smart ones figured out.
I think Jonathan Gresham's one of like the greatest minds in wrestling, by the way.
Oh, there's nobody better. He's helped me out a lot. It's sometimes I'll watch and like I said, there's a lane for everything, and I'm not who the fuck am I? What do I know? But sometimes I'll watch something. I go, are we in the same sport here? Like, are we don't have the same mindset of this at all, but people love that shit because you see what's on Wednesday nights and you see what's on, but there's certain shows that I like better. Everybody's Superman. And if Steve Austin can get his ass kicked, I think everybody can get their ass kicked. Oh, my dog jumping in the frame here. Sorry. Everybody can get their ass kicked. If Hulk Hogan can get his ass kicked, I agree with whatever he said. I probably agree with. So, that pure stuff is a good example. People might shit on that pure stuff, but it's more that tells more stories than almost anything, in my opinion. I think, I understand things being more entertaining and stuff, but it's almost easier to tell a story when there's rules. But some people don't quite think that. I don't know. I thought that pure stuff really showed that sometimes there needs to be rules to break rules, but whatever.
I mean, I'd like to see you in some pure stuff. You mentioned possibly doing ROH coming back at some point. I would like to see that, some type of pure rules match with Adam Priest.
Yeah, we did some stuff, but Gresham ran some mag shows. Like I said, I'm gonna try and talk him into getting some stuff going. I think he's got a little bit of opening in his schedule now, but he's doing great in Impact. But I'm gonna try and talk him into it. I love him. I don't think it's something that I want to do every night, but I think I think the pandemic era of Ring of Honor was really capitalizing, and I think from him pushing that, I think he was a catalyst in that. I thought that was great. I thought they were different. I thought that pure stuff was hey, if you don't like it, piss off. Who cares? But I thought that stuff was great. It's not for everybody, but I think there needs to be rules to break rules. So,
for sure.
I know you said you don't like going back and watching your own matches, but do you have a favorite match and or a favorite moment like of your own career?
I can't single out one match. I think me and the Anthony Henry stuff was
really good in action.
Yeah. Action Uncharted. I think that the more I look back, the chaos of that last match, like the most clout I ever got from anything is when I jumped out of camera frame and like flew and broke a table with my head. Like there's that image. There's me coming off the ladder through the table, pile driving each other, no ropes. The asshole would bust me open every match. The hard kicks, that last match was like, wow. So that was a moment that night where I was like, oh, we did something there. in that building. We had a really good Uncharted match. That was about 20-something minutes. So the Henry stuff, that's a guy I didn't talk about. He did me a lot of help and kicked my ass a lot. But we had about a 5-match run last year. Those stick out. The Murdoch matches, I had 2 with Murdoch, and he may be the best of that world. Like that genre. That guy's a hell of a wrestler, death match or not. Let me think if there's anything moment-wise. Is there anything that comes to your mind? I'm trying to think of like a moment where I'm like, oh, that was cool.
I mean, you beating Derek Neal for the New South title. I like that a lot. I really liked your match against Daniel Makabe at SCI. That was a really good one.
Thank you. Man, that's been like 2 years there.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 years ago now, or so, maybe.
Makabe's a guy who doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah. He's I've worked him a lot here in the past. Man, I don't know. A lot of stuff slips my mind. I know we're trying to get off here, but
well, you and Alec Price was recent.
Yeah, we had about a 7-minute match at Open, and that guy, me and him are really good together. We really put it on. We had one other match before, but that was 2 years ago when we both grown up. We had about 7 minutes the other night, and we're pretty good together.
Yeah, because y'all wrestled each other like over the years, but like both of you are really like putting it all together right now. Like, you're both really making names for yourselves.
I think you'll see us together at some point coming up, and actually be able to put on a show, man. I don't know, man. I've fought with a lot of cool guys. Some guys I've met and stuff is cool, like personal stuff, but the Henry matches and the Murdoch matches have probably been my like spectacle matches in a way. So I look back at those like, hey, I actually did something that night, So
Adam, the last one that we ask everybody is, what is the coolest thing you have in your room?
Oh shit! Let's get you want to go in there? Let's look here. Hang on, I'm gonna turn my lights on. Sorry.
No, you're good. Thank you.
Well, I can show you my dog. He's in my bathroom. Let's do it.
What's the dog's name?
Thor. I have a Rottweiler. You see?
Oh, nice.
He's a little fat and out of shape. He's laying in there. Look what I got in my room here. Okay. Here's something cool. I've got a picture here. Let's try to. All right. I know it's terrible reflection here. All right. It is a picture of Benoit, Guerrero, and Jericho in 90. Shit, that'd be 97, right? Before they jumped.
It's in WCW?
Yeah, like Benoit's wearing the red tights. So WCW, my best friend Stick, he big WCW fan. He's a lot older than me. He's like a crazy old uncle, He took that picture, years ago, and he gave it to me now. Like, I got into wrestling, and he knows that Benoit and Guerrero is like 2 of my guys. And it's the random picture he took that night. And he took it and he gave it to me. So that's a random little thing I have from that night. I'm trying to give y'all something more interesting here. I don't know. That's about the only cool thing I can show you. So
no, that's cool.
No, yeah, we've had people show pictures and then a great story behind it of like, hey, I took this and I know you're now a wrestler. Some of your favorites, like that is a very cool thing.
Yeah, a little bit of other styles in your style, by the way, in any style.
Yeah. I mean, I get compared to one of those guys a lot, but I try to not be compared.
I myself did not want to bring that up during this interview. I was gonna actually
look. It's not disrespectful. Look, I get it. I get it. I can tell when people are being a smartass about it. It's obviously a compliment by some people. It's never like, oh, for the other reasons.
Sure.
It's always because of style or whatever. But yes, I pick a lot from him. But it's just sometimes you're just naturally like somebody. It's not by, it's not like Ziggler to HBK level. You know what I'm saying? It's just we move the similar sometimes. But Guerrero, I think he's in my top 3. Nobody was better at a lot of things than him. So, just 2 of my favorite guys, and he gave me that picture. So I just keep it along with family pictures and stuff. So
Awesome.
Very cool.
Adam, thank you again for joining us tonight. Let everybody know where they can find you at.
Yeah, Twitter and Instagram. I'm usually saying something pretty stupid. Adam_priest_ I think, on Twitter and Instagram. Not Threads yet, not TikTok. I'm not doing it. I'm not fucking doing it. I'm not going.
I'm with you.
I want Elon to burn it down before I go. We'll see what happens. But mainly on the Instagram and Twitter, not doing Threads. Everybody's trying to talk me into going to that. I'm not doing it, dude. So just there. That's where I get all the bookings and everything. So, and I post weekly what I'm doing every week. So you can keep up with everywhere I'm going to be there.
There you go. All the links are below, everybody. You can follow Adam there on X, Twitter, anywhere else that he's on. Not the Threads. He's not going there. And keep up with him, in the ring, whether it's IWTV, whether it's on Honor Club soon enough, hopefully, or anywhere else. Adam,
Fight
our
Plus,
DPW,
check. I was gonna say Fight Plus. Check out the recent GCW appearances. I mean, big stuff from Adam over there. So absolutely.
You have DPW on demand everywhere. Adam, thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate it. Guys, we'll be right back here on the Spotlight.
Thank you.
Big thanks to Adam Priest joining us on the Creator Spotlight. Much appreciation to him taking time out of his day to join us a couple weeks ago. Hope everybody enjoyed the interview. Hope everybody enjoyed the show today. Get ready for a big week of wrestling. We have not only AEW All In, there's a other 2-night show, and there's Impact Emergence as well on Sunday night. So you got All In on Sunday afternoon, going into the evening, and then Impact on Sunday night. So big Sunday night of wrestling. Saturday, there's Collision. I'm sure there's some other independent shows on IWTV and Fight TV as well. There's the Vacation Land Cup for Prestige Wrestling as well. It's not Prestige. Oh my gosh, now I'm completely blanking on the Vacation Land Cup of I look terrible right now. I had to look it up. Limitless Wrestling has the Vacation Land Cup this weekend, so you can watch that. Thank you guys as always for the love, the support, the thumbs up, the super chats, the subscriptions, all that fun stuff. Head over to Fightful Overbooked if you would like. Go to Fightful Overbooked and check out all the stuff we have going on there. Just posted the singular interview with Jack Jameson when he did an impromptu appearance on In the Weeds on Monday, talking about the viral spot with good old Bronson. Yes, baby. Yeah, the guy, the Iron Savage, Bronson. We're going to have to get him on one of these shows. So Jameson did an impromptu spot. He was there for about 8 minutes, and that is now the singular 8-minute interview is up with Jameson on In the Weeds if anybody wants to check that out. Or on Fightful Overbooked, and again, all the other stuff we have on Fightful Overbooked. Guys, thank you again. We'll be back next week with a new episode of The Spotlight. Talk to y'all then. Bye, everybody.